And we are live.
From the industrial wastelands of Michigan to the fruited plains of Iowa, this is the American Reach.
You are the dead. Remain exactly where you are. Make no move until you are ordered.
We burn them to ashes and then burn the ashes. That's our official motto.
Now we can see you. Clasp your hands behind your heads. Stand out in the middle of the room. Stand back to back.
Who can explain the fascination of fire? What draws us to it, whether we're young or old?
Here comes the candles to light you to bed. Here comes a chopper to chop off your head.
And welcome to the American Reach Factory Podcast.
This is Conlon.
Andrew?
No, I was not actually.
Maker's Mark.
Maker's Mark cast strength at 110.7 proof.
Ouch. I thought my 95 proof rum that I like was good.
This is really good. Got a great. I mean, it's best just to pour the glass and let it sit in the air a little bit. I don't get a big glass, but let it sit in the air a little bit and then take it down slowly. It's very potent. It's actually got a lot of great flavor. Because of nutty nose. Very different than regular.
Sorry, I've been watching too much Letterkenny recently because I was just thinking, it's like, you know what else has a nutty note? My balls. Or whatever. Like, sorry.
Does have that kind of sometimes when you drink good stuff, oh yeah, I get it. Just evaporates. I mean, it's actually all it is what all bourbon would be.
Oh.
That's why they say casks. They're just tapping this. No one's going to go blind.
What's the difference between whiskey and bourbon? Because some people call it the same thing, and I thought it was supposed to be two different liquors.
I think, as far as I know, it's interchangeable. Maybe something processed. I don't understand. I'm one of those guys. I like what I like, and I don't investigate a lot into it. Oh, this is good.
Because I've used bourbon to cook, and I've tried it straight, and it was Jim Beam bourbon, and I hated it. Like, there's whiskey that I like, but it's like, this is supposed to be the same thing, but why is this so crap and everything else tastes better?
A lot of it's a process what we're making it out of. Kind of corn whiskey, rye, and
An oak casket.
yeah. Well, are they using molasses caskets, oak caskets? Are they using caskets that they wine in for? That gives it a good Crown Royal. Stuff like that.
Yeah, because Crown... Yeah. So I was going to say Crown Royal and Jack Daniels are pretty much the two main whiskeys that I know of and drink. So...
Not bad. I've always liked Maker's Mark.
Never had the opportunity to try that, so...
Very something. Not bad.
Is it pretty expensive? Because I can't remember how expensive it is. No.
I mean, all of them are expensive. I mean, I think this was
Oh, that's not bad. Well, yeah, because you get the signature ones, because even Captain Morgan now has, like, oh, we want our single reserve barrel? That's like $75 for half a size bottle of Captain Morgan or whatever.
Yeah.
It's...
I mean, that single barrel like malt scotch, like, know the difference. It's like, yeah, this is good. Like, the best scotch in the world right now is the malt brand scotch. Just the flavor and nose and everything. Like, it's very good. It's about as expensive as a bottle of champagne. But it was tested against like $180 bottles of Glenmorangie Reserve and all that. Oh, this is the thing.
Huh.
It's on what you want to do. You want to get fucked up.
Well, it's just something where, I mean, I'm partial to tequila, whiskey, and rum. Vodka's fine in other drinks, and then probably I'd say I hate gin, but I don't know if I've had a good gin, so I have no idea how
The trick
that.
with vodka is if you don't like alcohol flavor, like alcohol drinks, really high fruit vodka, because it has a lot more clarity in low fruit vodka. So if you're making like a vodka raspberry kind of roasted thing, it's high fruit vodka in it, it needs a lot of the alcohol. Because it's not as because all liquor is just cut with water. Still or from a magic stream else, maybe I don't know what the hell they say.
Well, because I always wonder, because always any like movie or TV show clip where somebody waters, like, you know, makes alcohol weaker, they water it down. I'm like, wouldn't that change the taste? And it's like, oh yeah, technically not really, because I didn't. If you think about it, everything's watered down, like you said, but for some reason it just doesn't occur to me every time I buy alcohol.
Yeah, I never did. If I'm drinking anything other than vodka, I don't mix or chase. I just drink it as is. I don't put ice in it. I don't see the point. I'll just drink it straight, and then have some water or something after.
I find chilling it harshes or mellows the how when I say how harsh it is on like the back of my throat or something, so it doesn't burn as much. Otherwise, yeah, the taste is.
That's what I want. That's all I want from my whiskey is to burn.
I don't like that. I've always disliked having a sore throat. I've always disliked burning in the back of my throat. So, I mean, it doesn't take it all away, but it makes it a lot more tolerable.
I remember I used to drink Wild Turkey a lot. I thought it was fun that my gums went numb. It's like they would just completely go numb. I don't know why, but it was some reaction I had to Wild Turkey.
Yeah, there's
Wild Turkey is essentially meant to be drank in the woods because it's more high test. I think it's like 120 proof or something. But it's just high test alcohol for those cold times when you're hunting deer or something.
Isn't that there's like some, I think it's still around because this is like years ago back in college. Students were like fucking blacking out and shit from this thing. It's like Four Loko, where it's like fucking liquor and beer together, and it like
Yeah, it's just it's an energy drink plus vodka.
Yeah, it's a lot of booze and sugar all at one
They
shot.
they made it illegal for a while.
oh
And then they just came out with this Four Loko that was basically just an energy drink. But now it's back, I think, as both. But yeah, or at least it became illegal in California, and then that de facto made it illegal everywhere or something. It's like, no, you can't get your energy and alcohol in the same drink. You'll have to mix it together. Because I always hear on Giant Bomb people extol the virtues of vodka and energy drinks. Or vodka, what do they call it? Red Bull and vodka.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've had Jägermeister and vodka and stuff too, so I mean, it's just, I don't really, or sorry, not Jägermeister and vodka, Jägermeister Red Bull.
That's a good combination. If you know you're going to throw up later, get the high notes of licorice and kind of the low burn of Red Bull when you vomit it all back.
Thankfully, I've never vomited from drinking. I've come close. I haven't vomited though, so thankfully that's something I don't know. But yeah, I don't know why. I mean, I know Jägermeister's still kind of popular, but for a while back when I was in college, seemed really, really popular, and everybody was drinking it. Now it seems like nobody knows about it anymore. If it's just
Weird. It's just a weird drink.
yeah, I mean, it kind of has like a unique taste. I can't say anything else really has though. So it's
Oh yeah, it's unique. I mean, I still have yet to try absinthe. So
yeah, I haven't tried that either. I don't even. Do we even get absinthe in Iowa?
I'm not sure.
legal in America now, but it's kind of weird. It's in a crate. Because like the Czechoslovakian absinthe is 160 proof.
Oh Jesus!
Which that's why they burn the sugar cube over it, because it just burns off the alcohol and caramelizes in the liquor. And then you can mix it with. You got to cut it with something. It's always made to be mixed with something, and it also contains shit like wormwood and stuff, which may or may not be toxic. Yeah, maybe.
I just go ahead and put a lot of stuff in there: mercury, lead.
So anyway, this is our Christmas episode. Should I play the Jethro Tull Christmas song, or will that get us sound taken?
Maybe, but who cares? It'll just be taken away in like other countries.
Okay.
We'll be talking about music, so we might as well just like have Alexa like, throw on some music with Alexa.
Here it is, my favorite Jethro Tull Christmas song. This will probably go on for too long.
I guess I know Jethro Tull had a Christmas album.
Oh, Jethro Tull has a little bit of everything, and I have it all.
Mhm.
Once in Royal David City, stood a lonely cattle shed.
I like how you enunciated shed.
Gotta beat the lyrics to fit the
Where
music.
a mother held her baby. You'd do well to remember the things he later said. When you're stuffing yourselves at the Christmas parties, you'll just laugh when I tell you to take a running jump. You're missing the point, I'm sure does not need making.
I love bacon.
That Christmas spirit is not what you drink.
There we go. Jethro Tull's Christmas song. I think we play it every year on this podcast around this time. Used to intro the show with it. But fun to listen to it in the middle.
But then our European listeners couldn't couldn't watch the show on YouTube.
Massive European fan base. We're really huge in China. Then we have.
Is that a white guy penis joke?
Yeah, that's exactly.
And then, like, no.
So this is our best of the year. This is our combination Christmas New Year's podcast. Because why not? And have some selections. We've gone through the list.
Well, I think there was confusion with the list. I made a list for myself with my own categories, and then people filled it in. And it's like, okay, I guess I'll add to the category of my thing. And I meant for everyone to have like their own categories.
Now we have them all together.
Because
Categories I didn't comment on, so I didn't really have one.
well, because like this year was kind of weird for me because there's nothing that stood out for me as like my movie of the year. Because like the last few years, it's like because it's just been, fucking that French, or I guess that French Canadian dude, that directed Arrival and Blade Runner 2049.
Oh.
Denis
Denis Villeneuve or whatever.
Villeneuve, but whatever.
He didn't make a movie this year, so it's like I don't. So I made this a bunch of like a composite of all my favorite movies of this year, so as not to like say like this was a shit year for movies. It just like didn't have one that like really struck me this year.
Oh, okay.
And then I started applying that to the other categories, and so that's why I like came up with a different best of stuff.
Oh,
But-
okay.
But yeah.
I kind of like how it worked out. I'm okay with that. So for movie of the year, best movie of the year, I think we both agreed Annihilation.
Yeah.
Andrew, did you see Annihilation?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Movie of the year, or
No,
Deadpool 2.
Deadpool 2 was it.
Sorry, I forget you don't have it in front of you, so that's why I was like,
actually,
oh, sorry.
Yeah, I tried to.
I mean, I liked Annihilation a lot. I just wouldn't say it's my favorite movie of the year, so.
yeah. I would have to say that for me, I mean, the reason I picked it, this was kind of a dead year for me, movie-wise, because actually going to movies around here has started to suck because the ticket prices
start shooting up, and they just have a bunch of mouth breathing shitheads in the theater. But anything like when me and Grayson went, when we went to see Annihilation, it was like cool. There was like 15 people there. Nobody was like, we were the ones that were talking in the movie when Grayson would be like, "What does this mean?" And I'd tell him, and the people behind us, I could tell were being annoying, but we weren't yelling "fuck" or "tits" at the top of our lungs. Experience for everyone. But yeah, so it's that was why I like as Annihilation is a theater experience. I remember this year as being positive. I had other theater experiences I didn't care for them so much, but I think it's because I don't know what it gets more expensive, and the people that go there, the quality dives. Because maybe they're just looking for a way to get out of the heat for 2 hours. I don't know.
Well, I mean, around here, I was actually surprised when I went to go see 3 movies last week. There's like not one time where somebody like yelled out something or made some like loud, audible gasp or talk behind me like half the time. So I was kind of surprised. Because one of the last times we went to a movie, Conlon, like 3 billboards. Like one of the ladies like behind us on the side of us kept talking like half the time and annoying the shit out of me. It was about the stupidest shit too.
We also had a bunch of people like they had the new chairs there, and we had to like constantly move the chair legs up and down to let people through.
Oh yeah, because I don't ever understand that you go into a theater. This is one of the things that bugs me now too, because we have the up and down chairs, and they're nice, but it's like, okay, you're coming to see a movie. Maybe get up to piss once. I get that, but I don't understand this parade of people. I'm like,
well, and the thing is, they actually
one at a time.
They actually leave enough space so you don't have to really put the seat down, but like people kind of like stop and expect you to put the seat down.
You should just look back at them.
Pay the toll.
Well, just for me, my legs are always long enough. My feet stick out past the foot thing anyway, so it's like I always have to move. So, but I don't know. I don't get that either. Just if you're gonna go to that, because take out like half their seats and do all that shit, you think you'd make it so you literally had enough room you can recline and never have to move.
Well, I just think like bring everything with you need, except for like try to empty your bladder before, which is always a good idea. But bring all the shit you need. In my case, it's stuff me and Grayson smuggled in. You have to unpack everything like we're like Ninja Snickers or something like. So we're all ready to go.
See, I'm like the worst. Like from an economic standpoint, I'm the worst person for movie theaters. Because when I go to a movie theater to watch a movie, I bring nothing. I eat nothing beforehand. I don't buy anything there because I don't want anything. I don't smuggle anything in with me. I just go there and watch the movie and leave.
To be how it was with me, but when you get a teenager involved, it's...
Yeah, you're bringing families, so that's really like, it's like, oh, it's $100 to go to the movie theater.
Yeah, exactly. So.
And like, I go to the matinee, so I'm watching movies with the old people that don't understand anything what's going on.
What does this mean? Am I irrelevant?
I like the one. I think I went and saw Identity. The one with John Cusack.
Oh yeah.
And like immediately after the lights went up, there's just this old lady was like turning around. I was like, "Well, that was stupid." It's like, why'd you sit to the fucking thing? Air conditioning.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, let's sing the virtues of Annihilation. I thought it was an incredible visual adaptation of the novel that was intentionally sparse to make it more scary and weird.
Yeah.
People early reception compared it to 2001: A Space Odyssey, which I can see the comparisons. I don't think it like necessarily like didn't revolutionize anything, but I can definitely see the comparisons.
Yeah.
A lot of a good cast all around. The story is fine, but it's usually just the execution of the visuals and the horror elements and the kind of fantastical nature. It was a good adaptation. They closed things off, and you could see like, okay, yeah, they're not going to do the rest of the novels, but like it's completely understandable why they didn't do that. So,
yes, this was very dense, esoteric material to try to make a visual movie out of, and they did a good job. Because most of the book has that same theme in it, where it's like they describe things, they talk about things, but a lot of stuff's just left to your imagination. and the book and the movie does a good job visualizing it.
Because also stuff in the book where it's like not everybody is seeing the exact same thing,
Yes.
which they don't really do that in the movie, but
No,
that adds to the book where it's like two different people see different things, and that kind of adds to the horror and also like the specific vagueness of it.
the tower. No, it's the tunnel. No, the tower.
They only kind of do that in the end sequence of the movie where they're talking about like what they see confronting, whatever it is at the end of their trip, where it's just like one sees, themselves and the other one sees like a pillar of fire or whatever. So I don't know. That's like the only time they really do that in the movie. But
Yeah, it's a very good movie. It's a watchable movie.
But yeah, basically, it was my best movie of the year because, like, of all these things, but also it was a cool sci-fi movies, and I usually give my movies of the years the cool sci-fi movies. So
That's usually what I do. That's what I enjoy most.
so what you're saying is
I
next
like
year. Oh, sorry.
It really made an impression on my son because he came home and I got all 3 of the books for him and he read them, which was like unusual. And then he was talking to his friends at school about it. It's like, so all the guys on the football team gonna go see Annihilation? Happened, Dad. Oh, that's too bad. But yeah, so that was.
All I had to do is tell one white lie, like Natalie Portman shows her tits, and then they would all went to go see it.
A weird thing about this movie with that I thought about in retrospect, and I think I heard someone else say this too, is like in the midst of all this, we got to have empowered women stuff. It's like here's a movie with just basically an all-female cast. None of them stupid or fragile or anything. All of them leaders in their own way. This movie never gets talked about. But we got to have a woman be Doctor Who and everyone loses their mind. This was like really... I mean, every one of these people had a PhD or something, and the men fucked it all up, and they sent the women in, but it didn't hit you over the head with it. It's just there. It's
maybe because it wasn't like definitely the Ghostbusters thing that came front and center, but like this because that's the way it was in the book. Like they're all women for reasons because that's the thing I didn't like. Where in the book where they were accounting for things they don't know, so. The people don't know each other's names. They're all women because they've never sent an all-women team in before. But they never really cover that in the movie, I can see. But there's that part where they introduce each other. Like, no, you're fucking it up. But like, who cares?
What's your name? Biologist. Yeah, I mean, it was a great movie adaptation. Would have been an even better moody HBO miniseries.
Yeah.
But I don't know what kind of audience it would have got. I mean, they made a bet on this because of the multiple months on bestseller lists all these books were on. So I think that's why they made the movie, but then only released it in the United States.
Yeah, because it came out on Netflix worldwide.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just thankful it wasn't another teen fiction romance novel that got adapted to the movie screens. That doesn't need to happen anymore. We're done with that.
That's over. That should be said. But anyway, so Deadpool 2. What did you like about it?
Well, it was a very strong follow-up to the first movie. In retrospect, it's very hard to do that anymore sequels because it seems like I mean, I think that didn't studies actually show like sequels have actually increased in budgets now. Like they used to be, studios would never throw money at them, and they would just be less budget.
Yeah, you used to spend less on the sequel than you did, but now it's reversed where you spend more because you're making more than you make more money on the sequels than you do on the original now.
Because I have no idea how it performed versus the first one.
Oh, very well.
Okay. I didn't do that research before that.
But also, like, they actually, like, the first one was a pretty low-budget movie. This one, they actually, like...
spent money on.
Yeah, here's your $100 million because they know they're going to make, like, $1 billion worldwide.
Well, yeah, I mean, you had Josh Brolin in the cast, and then you get a bunch of other people, including Brad Pitt, to make, like, a almost
that is
meaningless
the
but
best.
awesome cameo. And
Alright, we're going to ruin the... this is probably my favorite movie from the... We're going to ruin this for you. It's probably the best joke in the movie. Actually, I think I told you about it. But there's a part. What's he called? Was he like the Vanisher or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
He's just an invisible guy. And there was a part where like I don't know like and there's like they have the meeting where they're like they're interviewing guys and like the Vanisher, and like when they look up and nobody's there, it's like, oh, he's good. And he just like, you don't know if he's like late or something like that. And then there's a part where like they have the whole team together, and like they're jumping out of the helicopter and have parachutes. And I swear there's like a part where like somebody just has a parachute in hand and throws it off like that's the guy. It's like, is he there or not? Like they just threw a parachute out of the helicopter because maybe the guy's there. But then there's a part where like everybody's landing and everybody is getting killed on the team. So that's a pretty hilarious moment in very violent ways. And there's a part where there's the empty parachute like opens up. It's like, oh, is it a guy? And then he like hits a power line and he just gets shocked and killed. And that's what like he's revealed for the first time, and it's Brad Pitt in like a 5-minute cameo or 5-second cameo. Also, Matt Damon's in it, like dressed up as a hillbilly in a truck. But that's probably the best scene in the movie is the helicopter. Well, at least the funniest scene in the movie.
Yeah, the airdrop parachute scene. Yeah, because it's like it's some big expectation because all these characters are part of X-Force in the fucking comic books, and they're storied, and they have a lot of background, and all these missions they went on in the comic books, and then they all pretty much immediately die, except for Domino, because she has good luck, which Deadpool doesn't believe at all. He's like, that's just not a superpower. And it turns out to be probably the best one, because she's like the only one that doesn't get hurt during the whole movie. So, I mean...
Grayson watched it, and I remember I came into his room, and then there was a scene like they were shooting up a school of pedophiles or something.
Yeah.
White nursing robes or like orderly outfits. It's like, what the hell is this? It's like, oh, this is dead. That's the one. Because he had to return somewhere. And what was the Deadpool that came out?
Oh, recently, like
yeah,
the
it's
Deadpool.
just the PG-13 version of it instead of the rated R.
Oh, okay.
And it has like I don't know how much extra time with like Fred Savage like doing like the Princess Bride intro shit in the movie where he's like in pajamas in his race car bed and crap. Like I thought that was just gonna be marketing, but that's actually in the movie. I don't know how much of it's actually added.
Well, I imagine like that's how they cut around things. Is like they just cut back to them explaining things.
Especially like people getting devoured by like a wood chipper. It probably makes sense to.
Probably just they'd probably just cut to like a crayon drawing of the guy getting to, while another guy's vomiting acid on another person.
Yeah, I mean, sorry. Like other than that, like is a very.
I also
good...
thought like strangely sad and poignant for a Deadpool movie.
Yeah.
Like there is a good like through line with him and his girl. So that was like, it was like, oh, this is like character development, which I wasn't expecting at all for a Deadpool movie.
Well, that's the thing. I thought going into it, I was hoping for X-Force to be a big part of it because I kind of wanted that in the movie. But at the same time, I'm glad they killed off everybody because that actually gave time to other characters like Cable that needed it, Domino, and then just what was the kid's name? I can't remember. He's played by the guy, one of the kids that was in like the other movie that the guy that did Thor Ragnarok did, where he was like trekking through the wilderness with the guy from Jurassic Park.
Are you talking about the fat kid or?
Yeah, the fat kid.
Okay.
Yeah. But he's got pretty good acting chops, and he's good in this movie, and it's very. I wouldn't say there's a bad character in the movie. They're all pretty, except for Juggernaut's the least fleshed out because
and he's CGI.
I mean, he's CGI,
and
but still very well done.
Seemingly bad CGI sometimes.
Yeah, but
like that part when he's like getting shocked in the pool, it looked like it was a video game.
But still a better Juggernaut.
But it's a good representation of him because instead of like having Vinnie Jones in a suit, it's like somebody made to look gigantic. Yeah. So that's good that way. But it just kind of I didn't think it looked that very good, but
yeah, but that's the kind of problem with Cyclops, or not Cyclops, but Colossus and Juggernaut and stuff like that. It's just way too big proportions and different skin material. It's almost impossible to do, I would think, on a practical effects level in fight scenes. You have to do CGI.
Yeah.
So I mean, I thought Juggernaut looked better than he did in the X-Men. Like his Last Stand was the movie he was in.
Yeah. Like
I liked him better in this movie. But yeah, other than that, like I liked everything. Like it was actually a well paced out movie. they had really good jokes with him and the blind lady. And blind lady again included her, even though like supposedly the tale behind her being his roommate is horrible, because basically she's like a prisoner and she can't leave. Because every time she's tried to leave, he tracks her down and kills the person she's staying with and brings her back to the apartment and shit. And I'm like, wow, okay, glad that's not in the movie. Like, don't get this poor old black blind woman that can't ever leave the house because apparently Deadpool needs her to survive or something.
And there's a joke in the first movie about like where he hides his cocaine, and like she says like the cocaine it's near the cure for blindness, and then like in this movie the part where he's getting his cocaine and there's literally like a jar in there that's or something or a bag that says cure for blindness.
But I wonder when Weasel's gonna be in the, if he's gonna be in the next Deadpool movie or not, 'cause he's a pretty big sidekick that hasn't been in any of the movies yet.
I don't know. I don't.
Oh wait,
I
no,
don't much.
Weasel's the bartender guy.
I don't much about the X. Oh, is that the fucking what that comedian T.J. Miller?
Yeah, the guy that probably never work again because he's an idiot.
Yeah.
Let's piss everyone off and make false police reports. I can be mucus in a commercial from now on.
I mean, that guy didn't have like a lot going on for him. Otherwise, that's what Silicon Valley. I think. He was
Yeah, and
in.
they got rid of him there. So.
Yeah, it's like wow, you did a nice 180 to your career pretty fast.
And he was in oh shit, what was that?
Emoji Movie, I think, is the.
Well, that too, but that was that couch sitting TV show on HBO, but with the comedians. He was in that, but I think he's out of that one now.
I didn't know that because I don't watch a lot of HBO.
What else? Oh yeah, there's a really good. Well, there's like pretty good like 10-minute action scene up front where it's just lots of violence. But there was a one I really liked. There was a guy like running in slow motion, and then just in the background, Deadpool is like killing all his people, but like he and everybody else is in like normal motion. It's just this guy running for his life in slow motion while everything else is in normal motion around him, getting destroyed.
Let's see, we had some surprise movies this year that were actually good. I think me and you both agree that Upgrade was a good one.
Yeah.
And
I said Predator just because I don't think that movie gets. I mean, it definitely gets shitted on, but I don't think it gets love for what is good in that movie. Yeah, sorry, yeah. I guess we should distinguish since there's like 3 movies with Predator in the title, and that's the Child Predator. That's that's the movie I meant.
why don't you and Conlon talk about the Predator? I'll be right back.
Well, I like the fact that it all took place at one park, and the Predator didn't ever change out of his trench coat. He was watching those kids very diligently. He didn't move off that bench. He didn't give himself away at all. It's like it's only at the very end when he closes his van door, you know he gets his kill. I mean his rape. I mean,
I'm just surprised that Daniel Day-Lewis took the role.
oh really?
No, I'm
That's who you picked for that. I thought you retired from acting.
yeah.
For like
Daniel Day-Lewis came back as the Predator. It's just him flashing kids, but then weirdly enough, he still has the shoulder cannon.
I wonder since he's a huge method actor, how many kids you'd have to molest to get into that role. He's the ultimate method actor. That's why everybody loves him so much.
I guess he's just not taking this role.
He's like, I'm sorry, I don't think I can play the child predator. I didn't molest enough kids to take this role.
Can't make it real enough for me.
Okay, Nathan. The question is, if Daniel Day-Lewis took the role of the Predator, how many kids would he have to molest to be a good Predator on screen?
You have to work through that. It's a process, you know. Studied Jimmy Savile for years.
Oh, God.
Figure out the best way to do it.
Yeah, it's still surprising every time like I forget about that guy and then it's brought up again. It's like, yeah, that guy was a real piece of shit.
He molested like 6,000 kids. I mean,
Yeah, and a lot of them were like all either like medically needed something or poor or whatever. And it's like, yeah, it's like, God, this, wow. And he's a knight or was knighted for a while and shit. And,
well, it just.
yeah, it's.
I think there's a problem in their society when that stuff's going on.
But no, the Predator to me was a surprising movie because I know Colin was showing me the Red Letter Media clip about it, and they brought up a lot of valid points, and they're good guys who review movies. They don't bullshit you about crap and try and lead you around and make it seem.
Well, like the best surprise category is usually about like subverting your expectations. So did you have like low expectations?
I thought
like,
maybe it was gonna really be bad because the trailer wasn't giving me a lot as far as like plot and stuff like that, and I found a lot of the parts of the movie humorous, or not like a whole movie because there's not jokes in the whole movie, but the action held up pretty good except for most of the forest scene, and then like the story I thought was actually a good story and made sense. I mean, I guess I don't know what people expected the movie to be. Like, it couldn't just be...
Well, I was excited for it because I just thought, like, yeah, let Shane Black do whatever the fuck he wants. And an R-rated movie? Cool. Like, there's not that many around right now.
Well, I know, but it's like he was coming off The Nice Guys was his last movie before that, and that was a solid outing.
Yeah, and Iron Man 3 was really good.
So, I mean, it's like I had expectations, but it was more based around Shane Black's involvement, not really...
But yeah, I'll agree, like, when you saw the trailer, it's like, I don't know. Because it's like some white guy... it looks like some, Canadian... Like maybe he was in Canadian sci-fi movies, and then like he's just kind of like smooth and some shit's blowing up, and it's like, what does this have to do with anything?
Yeah, because I mean, it doesn't really give you the gist of the movie, so I found it a surprise. I mean, I watched Upgrade in theaters as well, and I didn't have any expectations going into that. I thought it was okay. I mean,
yeah, well, it was like. Well, I guess I was surprised because it just kind of came out of nowhere. Like, I saw the trailer and people were talking about it. But, like, I thought it was, like, a really good execution of very specific action.
Oh, okay.
And just, like, a lot of cool sci-fi ideas. It's also a surprise because, like, you don't know anybody in that fucking movie.
Yeah, it's not...
It's like...
There's no, I went to the movie theater to see this guy.
Yeah, I don't even think I've seen anybody in that fucking movie.
I thought the main guy was in something before.
I mean, they've all been in stuff, but like, it seemed like these are all like B Australian character actors.
Yeah, we've all seen some of these people somewhere, but never as like the main character or
a big draw in a box office,
or in a action movie either. I don't think I'd seen any of these people.
No, I mean,
it was done on a pretty like really low budget, and I thought like what they did. Like I said, very specific action. So like with like the 4 action scenes that there were in the movie, like it made it seem like a way bigger than it actually was.
I guess I was actually let down more by it because all the lead up advertising was like how action packed it was and how, it was all intense and everything. And I was like, I'd say the action's good, but I wouldn't say it's like intense like every minute of the film.
No, because like, just like I said, like the specific like things if you watch where it's like Well, I really like because like the specific thing about like he still has control of his head.
Oh yeah.
So like he's in his fight scenes and like his body's doing things, but his head's like, what the fuck's going on? And so it's like you watch like what his head's doing and how it's watching his body doing this thing. It's like that's funny, and then he just does horrible things and he's like horrified by, it. And then like you've regained control. And it's like, oh shit. And there's stuff like where the camera will like follow different things and kind of switch around, and like that could have gotten annoying, but I think they did like they used it very specifically, and I appreciated that. But yeah, it wasn't like like the first hour of the movie, like the dude's basically in a wheelchair the whole time, and I don't think there's even an action scene except for like the car wrecking and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like for like the 4 action scenes they cram in like the last like 45 minutes of the movie, I really enjoyed it.
No, I mean my wife loves that movie and it's something she sucked out seeked out when it came out on video to find it right away and buy it after we watched it in theaters. So I think everything's well done with it. I just wasn't like super hyped or super excited about it before or after, so
yeah, I
couldn't put it on the defied expectations list.
I guess I didn't have any expectations until Conlon told me about it, and because I watched it like I got it from Redbox or something and watched it, and I mean overall they did, like you said, they did a lot with what they had. The story didn't get too ridiculous. There were a few tells
like after the car wreck when they just murdered his girlfriend and then shot him with a captive bolt gun. Like, what the fuck was that? Why didn't they just shoot him too? I sort of figured, like, oh, okay, there's something going on here, and you think it's the autistic super genius, and then at the end of the movie, it's like, no, the thing in his head is fucking evil, and it's gonna take over, and it contrived its own escape by manipulating this guy. So that was interesting. I mean, it's not a movie like I had I wasn't really thinking like, oh, this is what I want to see in this. It was kind of a fun ride. And then the handgun things were kind of cool. It's a way to have a sci-fi weapon or something futuristic, but really not. Like, you're not building a big prop. You're just kind of taking gun kata to its like next level. It's like, oh, the gun's just the barrel's in his palm.
I like when he like breaks the guy's arms backward to make him shoot himself in the head and stuff.
Yeah, they managed to be gritty and fun, and the cop gets shot, and it's like, oh, okay, this is a weird movie, but yeah, I guess going into it without any big expectations, I enjoyed it. Definitely saw some plot holes and some plotting elements. It was like, okay, I knew something was coming. But it didn't it didn't lessen my enjoyment of the movie.
Well, I think we said too, it seemed like just like a bigger budget Dark Mirror episode.
Yeah. Kind of had that kind of narrative.
And now ironically, Black Mirror is getting its own movie. So.
Is it out? I think it's out. It's a choose your own adventure movie.
That sounds interesting. I'll have to wait and see what happens.
Because I know Netflix has been developing like some sort of like games for Netflix where you could like play the game in their video browser. So I think this is like a part of that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I guess that would draw more people.
Yeah, or just be innovative
or whatever. I mean, at some point, I'm sure they'll add ads to it, even though they claim they never will, which I think is bullshit. But
it's like they said. What was the article I read today? It was a humorous quote or something. It's like 63 million people watched The Birdhouse last night. Interestingly, there's only 14 million.
Yeah, I think that's like, rather than the ads, they can work on like how to like individualize your Netflix, so maybe people will buy their own like Netflix account.
Maybe someday we will.
Maybe they might make it cheaper if you just do instead of, because now isn't it like you can give it to 3 different people or whatever, have 3 different platforms with the same account basically.
Yeah, I upgraded to have it to, I think 4 devices can watch it at the same time.
Because I mean, you pay the same amount. So if you change it to 1 subscription, 1 license, unless you paid more or whatever, that basically might force people off other people's prescriptions.
No, let's not encourage this.
I didn't say I was encouraging it, because I myself am on somebody else's subscription and don't pay for it. So it's not like I want to. I'm just saying I'm trying to think of a logical step for them to take besides adding advertising.
But yeah, I think that would kill Netflix, or at least they could no longer produce the type of things that they do if they introduce ads, because people would jump ship. Because there's already people saying like, there's nothing good on Netflix, and I cancel my account, and I'm like, there's fucking something good every week on Netflix.
I was like, Hulu is doing better about stuff now too. Like, it used to be, I would cancel it during the summer since there's no new TV shows being added to it. And they barely had any movies, but now they're doing a lot better job. Like, the new season of Future Man comes out next month.
Oh, that's good.
And then, they added a bunch of movies. They even have their own independent movies now. It's all most, like, indie horror stuff. But it's like, oh, okay, this is better than nothing.
Yeah.
So, it's something.
That should be marketing. Hulu, better than nothing.
I mean, that's why I watched 2 movies tonight before I came here that Colin didn't know one of them was on there, and then the other one I already talked about before, so... I mean, there's even this Michael J. Fox movie where apparently he does cocaine the whole movie from, like, the 80s, and then there's also the Who's Coming to Dinner, the original version that the Ashton Kutcher movie's based off of, with Bernie Mac and shit in it. It was like, oh, that's nice to be able to watch that movie for free if I wanted to, so... Anyway, third movie was the Fun movie, I think, or no?
Best
Best
weird. Oh, best action movie.
Oh, best action movie.
Yeah, Mission Impossible Fallout. Probably been the best action movie in the last 5 years.
Yeah, I'd be hard pressed to like put that together. But yeah, it was just really good.
Yeah, it was just a crazy movie.
Straight action movie, like the real heavy use of practical effects, which I appreciate.
And nothing but Tom Cruise. I
Like,
fucking.
gotta do a helicopter stunt? Well, I better learn how to fly a helicopter. Okay? Throwing yourself into the work. And Superman was a bad guy in this.
My wife kept talking about like half the movie was like everybody says he's gay now. I'm like, what the fuck does that matter? Like, according to the film, it's like, why do I care if Superman's gay or
The character or the actor?
the actor?
Oh.
I mean, he's British, so he's like
Well,
halfway
because I
there.
can't remember who the fuck he's dating right now. Because my wife was like, that's supposedly manufactured. I'm like, why does this make any sense with what we're seeing in the movie right now? Why?
Who's his beard?
Like, why are we talking about this? I don't care. It's like, oh, whatever. Who gives a shit? It's because she was like, or after we watched the movie last week, she was like, yeah, it was a good movie, but it's just another Mission Impossible movie.
Yeah.
There's,
Well, yeah, because like people overly hyped that movie, and when I went and saw it, there's points where I was like falling asleep, which is not good.
yeah.
And like a lot of that end stuff, like I just kind of got bored. Was like, oh yeah, this is how. In the beginning, it was interesting because I thought Henry Cavill made an interesting character, and like, how's this gonna twist about? And then it just ended up being kind of stupid, but really cool action movie. Like, I mean, like he does the halo drop on top of that fucking building, and then that fucking bathroom fight scene was like really well done. It was like,
It's crazy.
it was like an extended version of that bathroom fight scene they did in the Casino Royale. Like, it's like, yeah, we're gonna do that same scene, but like more elaborate.
To make it more like the Matrix almost.
yeah, just mirrors falling apart as people punching each other. And that
people's
scene where
endless sponges for abuse. No one ever gets knocked out.
and Henry Cavill does that cool like he's cocking shotguns, but it's his arms thing.
Well, I just like how like it's one of those 2-hour movies that could have ended the movie in the first like 10 minutes if Henry Cavill sort of like crashed into the fucking thing and killed himself. Like, movie over for the most part anyway. But no, was that actually written by Simon Pegg as well, or is that the? I know the
He
Flash
might have
two
been
were,
involved.
but
Like, I can't remember.
it's. I didn't know since the other. I mean, they both made really good money, but I know critically. If they
Well, that was fucking who directed it. Christopher McQuarrie. He usually writes it, but maybe Simon Pegg helped. I don't know. I'll have
In
to.
fact, it's less Star Wars track.
Well, I
Well, I
remember he
know he
wrote like,
also, like,
he wrote a version of the Ant-Man movie, but it didn't get made, and people like praise like what that Ant-Man movie could have been if had the Simon Pegg script been used. But
Yeah,
I mean, that was still a good movie. I just now I want to read that script to see like what was he gonna do with it.
Well, it's something where I liked the second Ant-Man movie better than I liked the first one, but at the same time, yeah, it's not a bad movie. I mean, it's
He's not listed as a writer on it.
okay. I'm probably just confusing him with the Star Trek inter.
Yeah, it looks like he had wrote a script for the next Star Trek movie, but which means like what now I'm like, what's happening with that fucking Tarantino Star Trek script?
I don't think I did. I didn't even add anything to the best action movie, did I?
Oh, you just agree that Mission
Okay.
Impossible Fallout was the best action movie?
I might have skipped it, but yeah, it's a pretty good action movie.
Because the only other action movies I can think of are just superhero movies, and they're fine. But I just like the Ant-Man movie because that's a very specific action. I'd probably like that'd be close. And actually, Incredibles 2 is actually a really fucking good action movie that just happens to be a family movie too. But I still give it to Mission Impossible.
And plus, John Wick didn't come out this year, so
Yeah.
so gotta give it to.
That's just going to be a perpetual thing now.
What?
I think third one's the last one.
Oh.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as long as they make money.
Yeah, I mean, people seem to enjoy it.
Well, it's really well done action. I mean, story-wise, I can't fault people for making fun of the dead puppy, dead stolen car, kill everybody thing. But yeah, at the same time, it's not. I wouldn't say it's an intellectual man's movie, but it's definitely well shot and well done. So, if Keanu Reeves does one thing, he definitely stunts the shit out of those movies.
Oh yeah.
It's like watching stunt
Yep.
porn.
Weird movies. We got Mandy, which I haven't seen yet, and Hold the Dark, which I haven't heard.
Well, Hold the Dark's Netflix
Okay.
with Alexander Skarsgård. I don't think there's anybody else notable in it.
What's the story?
The story for Hold the Dark is that it's around like maybe the late 2000s, like close to 2010, like the Iraq War is going on right now and stuff, and it's basically just there's an Iraq or a guy that's serving in Iraq. His family's still back in Alaska in this really tiny town, and like this woman claims her boy got kidnapped by wolves and killed. And so she contacts this writer to help find and kill the wolves to appease her husband before he comes home. And so he finds the wolf pack and stuff, and or while he's out looking, she disappears, and he finds the body of the kid inside the house, and finds out she killed him, not the wolves. And there's like this weird wolf mask that she's wearing in the middle of the night naked while she fucks him on the couch, or whatever, and just like he's weirded out by it, but he's like, whatever, I'm just kind of looking for this fucking kid. And then he's really disturbed. He wants to find, the mother because he killed her own son. And the father finally comes back, and everybody's kind of saying like, oh, hey, we're gonna find your wife. We're gonna make sure she doesn't get away with this. We're really sorry about your son. And he's just like the whole time like, yeah, whatever. So him and his friend that live in the same town, then they start killing like every cop they find in the county coroner, everybody. And to the point where they call in like every sheriff in like a 20 or like a 200-mile radius, and converge on the town to try and get him. He's off looking for his wife because some type of thing, like they've made a connection to wolves in the wild, where it's like the wolves, if they're starving, will eat their young to preserve the race and all this other stuff, and get it to the next season. So that's kind of like the story arc. Like the mother kills the son because the pack's diseased, and he's just trying to get back to her type of thing, but he's killing everybody in his way to get to her. And so like just a bunch of sheriffs and shit get mowed down by like a fucking minigun in the fight. And there's a huge good fight scene in that, and then
Okay. Yeah, I don't know this other guy's movies. Did the Green Door and the Blue Room, or am I getting that wrong?
The Green Room.
Yeah. And Blue Door, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, the Green Room's kind of a weird movie too, but that's a really good movie.
Yeah, he makes I know he really makes fucking dark movies, so hey.
Yeah, this is a really fucking dark movie, and it's weird, so I wouldn't say it's like weird like you don't know what the fuck's happening and you're like, I don't know what the hell's going on, who the fuck's who. But it's definitely weird as in like, well, that was a movie.
Huh. Never heard of that.
Yeah, I'll have to watch that now. Also, it has Westworld's Jeffrey Wright in it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I forgot about him because I don't know his name. He plays the author that hunts wolves.
My pick for we talked about on the show, but my pick for best weird movie, which I like to get, like I want to make this category just because I think weird movies like one of those movies. It's like, well, it's kind of stuck with you. It's weird. It deserves there's some sort of recognition, but it's like never going to be your favorite movie of the year. It's just like, this affected me. So mine was Mandy, which has Nicolas Cage in it, and it's just a drug-fueled, weird-ass revenge movie that's like slightly alien and with an 80s influence. You got Cheddar Goblin, chainsaw fight, weird religion stuff. It's a guy trying to save his own life by saying he'll suck his dick, but no, you're dying. You're getting your head crushed by Nicolas Cage. It's a fucking weird ass movie.
Yeah, and this was by the guy, the director of Over the Black Rainbow.
Yeah.
It was a really weird movie I watched. Which basically just seemed like a drug trip.
Yeah, that's also this movie.
Yeah, okay. So I'm waiting for this one.
And Nicolas Cage just unhinged, so.
Yeah, well that's good.
Which is the only way to see Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. He's just screaming in a bathroom in his underwear. It's like Nick, we haven't started filming yet.
I'm sorry to have my nervous breakdown for my coffee.
Followed him around.
Hey, his more interesting roles in the last couple of years have all been like morally corrupt, like depressed, weird fucking characters. So I mean, it's weird to see him as like an FBI agent or a banker now. It's better to see him as like a fucking serial killer or like somebody like going around killing everybody he sees.
He's a lumberjack in this movie. And he's just like trying to stay away from the world. Like it's implied that something happened to him, and also Mandy, the titular Mandy. It seems like something bad happened to her, and they just kind of like found each other.
Yeah.
And then once she, spoiler, gets killed, he like fucking goes to a forge and makes a weird axe. The main bad guy is like basically just like this bad band leader who's kind of like who fucking
Manson.
Yeah. And but then there's also like it's also kind of like these four horsemen of the apocalypse. So like they're just biker guys with like S&M gear, but like just weird shit about them.
Yeah. They're taking drugs too, right?
Yeah, and the bikers kind of seem like they're almost out of Hellraiser. Like,
Okay.
yeah, and at some point there's animation in the movie that basically looks like it came straight out of Heavy Metal,
Okay.
and it has no bearing on the movie whatsoever. It's just like, here's some more drug shit.
Yeah. Here's an acid trip.
Yeah,
And then
it's
did you have a weird movie, Nathan, or do you just agree with the ones we?
I'm waiting to see Mandy. I probably would like that.
Okay.
And I'm definitely gonna watch Hold the Dark now. That just looks strange. And what's 11-9?
Oh, that's
Michael Moore documentary?
Oh, I must have missed that one. What's that one about? Is that about Trump?
Trump, Flint water crisis. Just basically, it lead up to Trump and why it is, and
Oh, we should say this is another category, a best depressing movie.
oh yeah,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
not weirdest movie or anything.
No.
Movie that makes you believe there is no God. No, but for most depressing movie, I just picked this one because it's. I get depressed by depressing shit too, but this is more depressing just in the real world, as in like this shit actually happened. It's sad to think that.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of interesting tidbits in there, and I mean, not that everything anybody says anymore is 100% true, and you can just take it to the races and run with it. But at the same time, it's like, if even half of this shit's true, this is fucking horrible. so
Michael Moore is not someone who I would consider dishonest.
neither would I, but I'm just, as far as like fact checking and just people out and out, like not really, I don't know. It seems like anymore there's always a counter to somebody's story, and it seems like somebody's always more willing to believe somebody else than the person that actually should be the one believed. So I'm just gonna err on the side of caution and say maybe he's right. So I mean, just between him talking about just stuff like global warming, Flint water crisis, where your fucking governor was poisoning people and knowing about it for fucking years before anybody did anything about it, and even President Obama came and fucking like took a sip of Flint water and be like, "Yep, I was parched," and be like, "There's nothing wrong here. Let's get back on the plane."
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, it's like I had like literally no respect for that jackass after that, because it's like, wow, all you had to do was show up and say, yeah, that guy's a fucking asshole, let's get this shit fixed, or at least pretend to care about people for 5 seconds. Instead he didn't even do that. So it's, I don't know.
Well, Obama is a corporatist.
Oh, I know he is. There's not many major political party people that aren't corporatists.
No, there's none. But yeah, that's okay. I won't watch that. Just sounds miserable.
My best depressing movie this year was You Were Never Really There, or You Were Never Really Here.
Not the Joaquin. No, stop me if I've seen this. It's Joaquin Phoenix.
Yes.
And it's with people being trafficked, and he's like the Punisher for traffickers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I've seen this movie. Because it's like bleak and kind of a weird love story, but
Well, I don't know where love enters
I was
in.
like, well, love story.
Except for his mother. He cares for his mother.
Yeah, I mean but he's a guy who seems to like care for people but have a dark past, and you know he's like going to defend people in the most brutally violent ways possible.
Yeah.
I like how he calms himself by hyperventilating into a plastic bag. That's just me.
Well, yeah, he spends the whole movie just like basically waiting to die. He's like,
Yeah.
well, before that, I might as well help some people that are helpless.
Yeah.
Oh.
That seemed reminiscent of Taxi Driver in a way, of kind of the
Yeah.
demon guy that's like, I'm gonna help the exploited. Oh yeah, I'm fucked up too. Probably in a dangerous way.
Like, kills a bunch of people, saves this girl, and it's like, I got some sodas.
And candy.
But I guess why I created this category is that I generally don't like dramas. I know almost every movie is a drama, but there's something about like a lot of big dramas where it's like the event that creates the drama is just bad people making bad decisions and everybody else has to deal with it. It's like, well, this all could have seemed to be avoidable. Where this is it's just they can't stop what's happening. They just have to endure.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it depressing, but also, it's somewhat realistic. So that's why, I don't necessarily, I mean, it is a drama, but like it's it's a depressing movie. That's why I like it. Because I like depressing movies, not all the time, but I don't like dramas.
I prefer my dramas to have at least one child predator die violently on screen every half hour. That keeps it interesting.
We can work that in.
And it's like the part at the end where he fucking blows his brains out and nobody reacts to it, and it's like, oh, I guess that didn't happen. But then also like what has happened is like fucking insane. It's like there should be there should be martial law should be declared because basically like 2 senators have just been killed within 12 hours of each other.
Yeah, you think the Secret Service would be coming to some point? Should be men coming out of helicopters and ropes at least.
Cause like, man, imagine if that happened in real life, the fucking media shitstorm that would be happening. But I mean, it's they don't really get far enough away from the event for really that stuff to like play out, but they don't. It's not important at all to the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What made this movie even better? Nicolas Cage is the crazy pedophile, the Joaquin Phoenix crazy savior.
Yeah.
All he had to do was draw on his character from Face Off. The fucking serial killer guy.
Roy.
Yeah, just draw on him.
But yeah, this is an Amazon movie, and I think it has pretty mixed reviews, but I'd recommend it.
I don't know why it has mixed reviews. It's not a bad movie.
I think it was just too depressing for people.
No.
And it also, I can't remember the reviews, but it seemed that people were confused that like the movie was something else.
Oh.
If you ever watch the trailer or look because what's the title of the movie again? Sorry.
You Were Never Really Here.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like an upbeat movie to me from the title, let alone the screenshot image where it's like Joaquin Phoenix in a dark background, kind of hunched over, disheveled, and it's like, yeah, this is how a homeless man turns his life around and has a family and comes to God.
Actually, I think there was something about the trailer used a lot of footage that wasn't in the movie, and maybe that's where people were thrown off by it.
Yeah, but that happens all the fucking time now. Songs that aren't used, footage is not used.
Oh, and people are bored by it, which I can understand totally. But I was enthralled the whole time.
I don't think that.
Well, it's like very little dialogue, and like even like there's things like I was explaining where the kid is when he's a kid and he's like suffocating himself in the
garment bag. Yeah.
Garment bag, but it's like you can see that it's his dad's blues.
Yeah.
Dress blues, and it's like they don't explain anything in that scene, but like me, like I could pick up on a lot of things, like his dad was a Marine, he followed in his dad's footsteps, and like none of that is delivered at all to the audience. Like you just have to pick up on those things.
I know, but it's like those movies are way more interesting to me than a dialogue
Yeah.
heavy movie where it's like I will fall asleep to that.
But I can also see someone going into that as like, this did nothing for me. Why is the kid suffocating himself? Like, you know, for some people,
well,
like
also during when he's suffocating himself, like they're like you can hear him screaming and fighting in the other fucking room. There's something going on besides just the kid suffocating himself. But even that's like a danger image, and it's like a image that keeps your mind. You would think it's not something boring. Like, what is it, honey? What's happening? Oh, just a kid playing with a yo-yo. What is happening? A kid suffocating himself with a plastic bag. It's like I gotta see this. I don't know. I don't see. I can get why people think certain things are boring, but I'm more bored by stuff like Gods and Generals, where it's like a Civil War drama, people talking for like fucking 3 hours and almost nothing else happens. That's what I'm bored by, not fucking like, oh, there's not enough dialogue. It's like, so I guess Joaquin Phoenix didn't talk to himself enough during the movie. Or
he didn't kill enough people to pique my interest.
Wasn't enough mayhem. Wasn't enough Frank Slaughter for me to be interested.
He should have done Yelp reviews of restaurants between killings or something. Just went there and did talk to the patrons. Something.
The next category is best just fun movie. We did The Mummy last week, and that's what it was like. Yeah, it was just a fun movie. So also last week I saw Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which is just a wonderfully fun movie. Probably you get more out of it if you kind of know the Spider-Verse thing. If you read the comic book or seen they did a cartoon adaptation of it too for one of the seasons of the Disney cartoon. Basically, you just need to know a few characters like Spider-Ham and Spider-Gwen. But yeah, it's I don't know how to describe it. It's just a fun movie, a lot of cool like animation stuff. Like the only person that gave it a negative review just didn't like the animation because it's kind of like, I don't know, kind of stilted in parts, but like not the whole movie.
I thought the animation was gorgeous in it. Like, it was very much comic book, and it was just very like comic panel, comic everything.
Well, that's more the
Between
aesthetic. They're talking about like the physical
Yeah.
motion of the characters, which is kind of weird and jerky in some parts, but like it's not that way throughout the whole movie though. But I don't know why you give a. I don't know how you watch that movie and
between
like
the humor and the action and the characters all being good, and it's actually a decent story to back it up. I don't see why you would complain about that movie.
yeah,
but
yeah, but whatever.
Whatever.
Anyways, yeah, it's one person's bad review, which they're probably just trying to get more. They probably just want to be the contrarian, so they get more eyes on them. It's like, who's the one person that didn't like this movie that's universally loved? Oh, fuck that guy.
Oh, Flat Earth Tom. Flat Earth movie review guy.
Well, I'm surprised it wasn't like a bad review about like the anime girl's skirt wasn't short enough or something. Why wasn't she bustier?
Nicolas Cage is in this movie as well, and he's hilarious as Spider-Man Noir. So he comes from a world that's black and white, and he's utterly confused by a Rubik's Cube because he can only see in black and white. His dialogue's great. Like I can't remember the dialogue he says. It's something like so Miles Morales is the Spider-Man in this. Well, there's another Spider-Man, but he dies, and so Miles Morales kind of has to take up the slack to try to stop this like interdimensional machine. And so he gets bit by a radioactive spider and starts to become Spider-Man, and then like all these other Spider-Men come in from other universes because of the particle accelerator.
Okay.
Fuck, I completely forgot what the fuck I was talking about.
Miles Morales and
Is
confusion.
well, you're saying Nicolas Cage had good
Oh,
dialogue.
yeah.
What are you talking about?
So the other Spider-Man coming to, so Nicolas Cage is there, and they're in each of the other spider people, like they're kind of like they've done this already, and he's at the start of it, so they're trying to give him kind of a pep talk of like things you need to do to be Spider-Man, and he says something like of the moral ambiguity you must endure to commit the violence you have to save the world. But it's Nicolas Cage saying that in a very serious tone. And he's a black and white drawn character.
I mean, I just like the overall like great tone of the movie, very positive and very everything's fast moving. The action's great. I think everything's like beautifully drawn and beautifully done as far as animation's concerned. Even the mixing of the styles between like, oh look, you have some anime, and then you have some like Looney Tunes thrown in,
Yeah.
and then you have like old kind of black and white. But then also even just between Spider-Gwen, the Peter Parker from the other universe, and Miles Morales, there's still a little bit of a difference between all of them. They have distinctive styles and distinctive animations. So.
Yeah, they do this thing with like, you know, when you see old comic books and it's kind of like it's like the 3 dots, but they're kind of like slightly separated, but they create color.
Yeah.
So they do a thing with that like throughout the entire movie. Like that's kind of like what makes it look comic booky in a way.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, they just do a lot. There's like a lot of things they do with visualization that's really cool in this movie.
The only thing I had, or only problem I had with it is the part where, you know, Kingpin orders them to dispose of Spider-Man's body, and then all of a sudden, like, Spider-Man's dead, it's Peter Parker. I'm like, I thought dispose of the body. You're supposed to dispose of it, not just throw it on the curb.
Throw it over the middle of New York. Some picked up on it.
Like,
why'd you leave the Spider-Man costume on him? You just made him a fucking hero. Martyr.
that was my only issue with the movie, was just that.
And that's... Is this going to be Stan Lee's last appearance in the
Well, I think
movie?
he's in the next Avengers movie.
Oh, okay. They
Because
filmed
that
that
got
ahead.
shot before he died.
Okay.
So that was going to be my question, too, is like, is this his last Marvel movie appearance? But I think maybe that Captain Marvel, too, got filmed before this, so he might be in both
Yeah,
of those.
maybe. Oh, is
So where did this come from? I never heard about this until you told me.
it's so like Sony vaguely still has the Spider-Man license. So they came out with that Venom movie this year. So like that's theirs. It's not a part of the Marvel comic universe.
Oh, okay.
So, but they still like retain rights to like some of the animation stuff and things like that, or at least movie animations, because they're making Disney is making Spider-Man animation television shows.
Okay.
So yeah, I think this is like a way they can keep making Spider-Man movies without interrupting Marvel's Spider-Man movies.
Okay.
So I think that kind of, you know, the calculated reason for that, but otherwise it's, the Spider-Verse stuff is pretty big right now in Spider-Man, so it's probably a way to do it, because if you did that as a live-action movie...
Yeah, the Spider-Verse comic book is like not... I mean, the plot's similar, everybody comes together to fight something, but it's way bigger scope, and it's vampires instead of fucking...
But also it still does the mixing of the mediums.
Yeah.
Of like the different eras of comic books and the looks of that stuff, which would be almost impossible to do in a live action, or it probably wouldn't work.
Yeah, I don't think it would.
So
I mean, especially with
it makes
CGI
sense as an animated movie. So
And I think they canceled... They had a couple more Spider-Man type movies, like they had Black Cat and Silver Sable was supposed to be a movie,
Huh.
but they canceled that. I'm assuming maybe because they just figured it, I don't know if Marvel was putting pressure on them or not, because technically they're together now or whatever, or they just like, well, we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves like DC and sink a shit ton of money into this, because Venom did not do very well.
no, Venom did great.
Okay. Critically, Venom did not do
Oh
well.
yeah, no, everybody hated Venom, but lots of people saw fucking Venom.
Did you see Venom?
No,
Oh, okay.
but
I was
like
thinking about renting it, and then I was like, I think it sucks. So.
I got like the person who cuts my hair. She went to go see it just because she likes Tom Hardy.
Oh.
You know, she enjoyed it, and like people seem to enjoy parts of that movie. Like I think there's the midsection where they just enjoy Tom Hardy. I don't think the movie's good, but also it did like gangbusters overseas. Like it did like 200 million in China or something like that. So they made money on that movie, but it didn't deserve it.
China. Yeah.
But no, I mean,
Pacific Rim got sequels and stuff was because of China.
Yeah.
yeah. I wish they would have not given it a sequel, but
I
unfortunately,
was really hopeful, and I went to the theater to see the first Pacific Rim, and I was like, well, there's stuff here, but I'm not like blown away by it.
I love. I love Pacific Rim, but I also don't think it's that great of a movie.
No, it's not. It's visually interesting, and
Yes.
it does things that
It does scale in a way that hasn't really been done before.
But other than that, yeah, there's no like cinematic like the dialogue is awesome in this movie.
Yeah,
or,
the story's like kind of pretty stupid and pretty boilerplate, but a lot of the ideas are new,
yeah,
and that's what I
it's-
liked about it. And fun characters. So
And there's some interesting things in the second one, but it's not very good.
I like the Gauntlets. Mystery Science Theater Atlantic Rim.
Yeah,
Gauntlet.
I fell asleep during that one. I saw like the first 30 minutes, and then I like passed out because I was like, "This is kind of funny." I just was too distracted by how horrible the actual movie was. But
did you guys get to the what's the
we
one?
haven't
Killer
watched the
Fish.
we haven't watched the last 3 yet.
Oh, okay. Killer Fish is the one I really like because it's like a well-produced movie that's still, it's still bad, but it's a well-produced movie.
I like the one, surprisingly, the one where the family's in the desert, attacked by goblins and spaceships, and it was a fucked up movie. It was like a drug trip of a movie. But I like how the little girl, they're like, does she have no sense of self-preservation? Run from one dangerous scenario to another.
No, I kind of want to see if there's I'm sure there probably exists like a riff tracks for Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Yeah, I think so.
Because my wife really likes that movie, and I've tried to watch it straight, and I can't watch it. So I'm like, well, maybe if I had riff tracks, I could watch this fucking movie.
Yeah, Riff Tracks and MSTK things. Watch I couldn't watch. And also, one of the Red Letter Media guys.
Oh, Best of the Worst.
Yeah. I'd never watched those movies individually, but it's like some of those movies I've never ever heard of, and some of them it's like, oh, I remember that in the video rental store in the 80s.
Yeah, there's just some things that hold up better nostalgia-wise than they ever do to the light of day now. So, it's...
See, best show of the year. BoJack Horseman, High Maintenance. I remember BoJack Horseman. That was pretty damn good.
Yeah, I gave it to BoJack Horseman because basically that's what I always do, except for last year was Twin Peaks. A lot of good TV this year. It's just like, with this season they had a lot of cool things with. There's like a merging of reality with the show that they were making, that was really effective, especially at the end. There's the one episode like I don't know. They have a couple of gimmick episodes. It was the one episode where it's basically just one 22-minute dialogue take where it's a monologue, which is like brave, I guess. I don't know. It was at his mom's funeral.
See, I need to watch that show. I just haven't gotten around to it. There's too much crap to watch.
Yeah. So yeah, I just gave it to BoJack again. What was High Maintenance?
HBO. It's the weed dealer anthology show. So it's a weed dealer that goes around. You follow him centrally in the show at the beginning or the middle or end. But his customers he drops off to and hangs out with, you hang out with them for like most or half of the show. So you kind of see what's in their lives and how they're dealing with it, and then it cuts back to him by the end of the show. So you kind of get to know all the characters. It's interesting because the show's never the same every episode. It's always in New York, and it's always based around somebody around there, but it's always different. It's like a guy that collects old like used Shasta cans because that's what his mom he was taking care of had cancer. She liked that soda, so he just like in his depression just collects used cans until like the day that he finally decides like I need to move on with my life and gets rid of him, and then like has like an accident and like injures himself and shit. It's like there's probably the most interesting one, or at least the one that I've watched most recently that was really interesting is there's a 2-part episode. The first part was a real estate agent that sells real estate in Manhattan and Brooklyn, but she's like homeless at the same time. So she's like showing all these people these apartments like, oh, this is great, you should jump on it now. It's so affordable at, this insane asking price. And then she goes back to this like slum fucking apartment where she's basically living in a corner with like 9 other people in there. And then she puts a realtor suit to go back to work, but the only way she gets through it is eating pot brownies.
It sounds like a Twilight Zone about weed, but like the common factor is the weed dealer.
Yeah, it's pretty much it. And then the second part of the... Oops, sorry.
No, yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, second part of the episode was it kind of touches on 2 people. It's a drag queen that's also a doctor, and so they're at a club, but they're also an Hasidic Jew that's doing an interview with a reporter because he's not living the lifestyle, and he's with this community of Hasidic Jews that are trying to transform and go into regular life. And so he kind of hits it off with this Russian woman, and they kind of spend the night together and talk and drink, and they all those characters converge into the deli in the morning so he can get like a rye sandwich. He starts choking on it, and he has to, it's lodged in his throat. So the guy in a full fairy costume with body glitter and tight thong on gives the guy a tracheotomy in the middle of a deli, and nobody bats an eye about this until they realize it's a gay guy in a fairy costume. So they're all giving him like a fucking stink eye. It's like, what the fuck is this? And it's like, I don't know. I thought it was fine that he's a doctor. He's saving the guy's life. Apparently, it's not so much if he's a gay guy.
Might as well just let him die.
But it's really, for me, not really liking the weed culture and kind of hating it for a lot of reasons. It's a very good show. It has a lot of redeeming qualities and lets you see people not as just weed users, but actual human beings that are trying to solve a problem with something that isn't alcohol or,
I think I've like
something.
accidentally seen like scenes from this show and immediately hated it, so I'll probably have to give it a bit more of a shot this time around.
Yeah, it's just something. It's different every episode. It kind of still keeps, like, every episode still kind of advances the dealer's like story and character.
Because I think like that episode I saw, or like the 5 minutes of it, it seemed like millennial dog walkers talking and smoking weed, and I didn't.
Well, that might, that's maybe one of his customers or whatever. And
Yeah.
I've seen pretty much
But I didn't know the setup, so I guess
all of it so far. So yeah, I watched it with my wife quite a bit. I'm pretty sure probably like 6 episodes left until we're done with it for now, but it's good.
Okay, and for best show I missed last year.
Did you just agree with the BoJack, or are you high maintenance?
Just agree with BoJack.
Okay. Yeah, I just created this category, best show I missed last year, because I watched The Sinner and I was really fucking surprised by it, and it's like, why didn't I watch this, or why didn't I know about it? It was a USA show, and it was more of a mini series than a show, but they have a season 2 now. But I didn't even bother. It was so good, I didn't even bother to watch season 2 because I don't want to ruin it. Now season 2 has nothing to do with season 1. I'm done with The Sinner because I think it was perfect.
Oh, okay.
Had a cool song in it.
What's the story here with The Sinner?
There's a lady. She's with her husband and they go to the beach. I think she has a kid too. I can't remember if they have a kid or not. She hears this song at the beach and she stabs this guy to death. Do you know anything about it? Okay, so it's Jessica Biel, and the investigator is Bill Pullman. And she hears a song at the beach, freaks out, and just knifes this guy to death. And you're like, is this some sort of like, is she programmed to do this? Like, what's going on here? Is this some sort of like sci-fi thing, or not sci-fi, or I guess sci-fi, but secret assassination thing? And she pleads guilty to killing the guy, but Bill Pullman's like, no, something's wrong here. And so he doesn't just like let her plead guilty. He like holds off the sentencing so he can figure out like why the fuck she killed this guy. And like it goes into all this stuff, and it's like it gets pretty dark, but like I think like a lot of these shows like pull a lot of twists and things. And there's like tons of twists in here, but like the ultimate truth makes sense. And there's like the only flaw is like with her memory. So they're not like pulling the wool over your eye. It's like her memory's flawed, and we still have to like go through everything to figure out what the fuck happened. And it's just very satisfying, because I usually don't like these shows because I think a lot of there's a lot of cheap twists and turns, and here I believe it earns it.
Oh, okay.
Did you put the Terror on?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Because I know Nathan talked up the show and I still haven't watched it. But I think it's because AMC sucks. Or it's on AMC, right?
Yeah.
Okay, AMC sucks for their website, so I don't end up watching a lot of their shows.
No, I just had a chance to watch like a free episode on, I can't remember what streaming service, so it was just something where I caught an episode and I saw a clip before that and I was interested in the show and I was like, yeah, this is good so far, so I kind of want to see more of it.
Yeah, it's a good period piece. I enjoy it. I mean, it's very long. It's full of details. It has a lot of compelling, weird ideas in it.
Did they get a season 2 or is this a one-off?
As far as I know, it's a one-off.
Okay.
And it involves monsters, what seem to be monsters, cannibalism, people freezing to death in the Arctic, all the good stuff.
Is this based off of some of the Arctic expeditions that kind of went missing and nobody knows what the hell happened to them? Okay.
Actually, they did find the HMS Terror a couple years ago, but this is a fictionalized account. They don't know; they just all froze to death in real life.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a.
Does this have any connection with was it Shackleton expedition?
It was kind of the expeditions he did, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it would be because it's like taking wooden ships into the Northwest Passage and trying to see if there's a passage through and up above America before everything freezes, and or up around the Arctic before everything freezes. It didn't work out very good.
Yeah, I still need to watch it, but just AMC sucks at how they distribute things online, so I'll have to wait till it comes in Netflix.
Well, they want to make it where they were the first network to be must-see TV, and now they want to be the last network you want to see TV on.
The way their player just intentionally malfunctions, so you have to watch 8 ads before you can get to the show is very, very off-putting.
Yeah, Terror is worth seeing though. It requires patience. It requires that you pay attention. There's a lot of character development, but it pays off. Yep.
And then best surprise.
Best surprise TV category
this year. Because I could also say The Sinner was a big surprise, but it didn't come out this year.
Oh goddamn! I was gonna say Murder She Wrote. Son of a...
Murphy Brown, it came back.
She's still alive.
My big surprise this year was Homecoming, because I didn't know what to expect, and when you told me it was a half-hour format, and it's how's this fucking gonna work? But it totally, they pull off all the shit. You see that trailer, what's going on here? There's the different film formats and stuff like that, and then it's only 22 minutes. It's how the fuck are they gonna pull this off? And they fucking pulled it off.
That guys in it was an NPR guy from This American Life with two other people in this cast. Yeah, it's a really good show. It's single camera too, which is weird. The thing that makes this show famous is how people will be talking, and they'll be thinking you're building up to something, and then they're just everyone walks out of the frame, and the camera's just sitting there for 30 seconds, and the credits come up. The show, it's what is this? What are they doing here?
But also, I think it weirdly respects your time, because this should be an hour drama, but they just use the time effectively, so you don't have to worry about that other fucking 20 or half-hour minutes. Get through the whole story in just a small amount of time.
Wow, now I have time to watch porno and masturbate. Thanks, Homecoming. Thanks for being in a concise format. I literally binge watched this in a weekend. So
Yeah.
It was one of the best things Amazon's done for me. For my tastes.
I guess I should get an honorable mention. The Expanse was really good this year. I think that why it's not my favorite is because they did a really good job with I guess would be poor what are their lesser material, the back end of Caliban's War. They made that way better and more interesting. But then they also short shrifted to Abaddon's Gate, which I was kind of I know why, but I just kind of felt bummed by that. But also there's the whole like I guess we're is the show gonna keep going or not? So it's really nice that the show gets to keep going.
Yes. Well, we'll see on Amazon.
Yeah, I mean like because that's another thing is like they made Caliban's War a like better, and so what they're doing now it's like arguably this is the weakest book in the franchise that they're going to cover, so it's kind of more exciting because they could probably do better things with it, or maybe not, but we'll see.
We'll see. It was fine though. I mean, it's an elaborate story. They did a lot with it.
Yeah.
They didn't change it to the point you're like, what? It's almost a surprise when they changed it. Really, as far as change, like what they've done is just cut out a lot of the peripheral, the tertiary characters and some of their backstories, and they've twisted some of the main story around, but it still stays true to what it is.
Yeah.
You're not watching it like, what? Where the fuck are we going? Like, you know where it's going still.
And then you had Ballers as best surprise.
Well, just because I'm catching up on that show, and it's just
Okay,
something. Like,
I didn't even fucking bother. To me, it kind of seemed like well, this is like how I viewed it is like they're making God damn it, what was the show about Hollywood on HBO with Mark Wahlberg produced? Entourage.
Oh,
I watched all season of Entourage, and I liked it at the time, and I got to the end of it, and I was like, why did I fucking watch this entire TV show?
Well,
so I'm kind of off. I just feel like this is just another Entourage.
I got hooked by the first season. I started watching the second season again this year because I'd taken some time off from it. And then that was okay. I kind of hated the second season a lot. And then the third season got me hooked again because it was actually a lot more interesting and the character development was way better. Because the second season was just like, oh, look, they have money problems and ha ha ha, and that's pretty much it. So it's like, yeah, I don't fucking care. It wasn't really interesting at all. So I mean, I think there's a fourth season still after the third season.
The Rock's involved, so it's like it's his one TV show.
I have no idea
between his 8 movies he's making.
Okay, I didn't know if it was a TV show that was still ongoing or it's already over, because that's how far behind I am. I have no idea what season 3 actually came out.
I don't know.
But yes, I kind of assumed it had to be this year, but considering like
I think they do a season every year. So
most of the TV shows I watch are on Hulu or something else. So I mean, I watch some stuff on Fire Stick, but it's the least dependable thing in my house because it's the most laggy for some reason. So it's always kind of an iffy thing. Sometimes it'll be great, and sometimes it'll be like every 5 minutes I have to wait 30 seconds to watch the next 2 minutes of footage or whatever. So.
The next category I created just to give props to Barry, so I just called it Best HBO Show.
Okay.
Because I thought Barry was great, and the only reason why it wasn't my best show of the year is because I thought it ends very precariously, and I don't know if they'll pull off a second season. But otherwise, it was a fantastic show. So
yeah, I enjoyed the 3 that I saw. It's just something I had to table for a while because I had other things going on.
Did you get to see Barry?
I think I saw the first 5 episodes.
Okay.
And I was kind of looking forward to getting the other ones, but I think me and my wife kind of forgot about it over other things for some reason.
Yeah.
Just there's always way too much fucking shit to watch, and I don't know how the hell anybody keeps up with all of it because it's just too much. Ugh. My house needs to be cleaned at some point. I need to go.
Hey, you can watch it while you clean your house. You just vaguely pay attention to it. Although I think Barry being like half-hour shows, I find it's like are easier to binge watch. Is like they more concise stories and they're usually about like funny stuff and things like that.
Yeah.
And like because like BoJack Horseman, like you can watch a season in like 3 hours.
True.
Which is like one movie, one really long movie.
Yeah, because binge watching Game of Thrones that takes all fucking day.
Yeah.
So it's I get that, and it's something. It doesn't take up a lot of my time. It's just there's so much between rewatching shows that you like and kind of miss, watching shows that are new or specials even, because even the Dave Attell like special that came out recently, that was like 3 and some hours long, and that was like a nighttime worth of entertainment, and it's just like there's always something Netflix does such a good job coming out with stuff like every week now.
Yeah.
I never have like I got a month to catch up on stuff. It's like, oh, I got a week before more shit comes out that I haven't seen Birdcage yet, so it's never ending. Okay.
And then you had Game of Thrones as your best HBO show.
Why is it not always the best HBO show?
Well, it didn't come out this year, but that's why I created this category just for Barry. So.
Favoritist. Like no, Game of Thrones just because it's Game of Thrones. Where else can you get incest on 2 scales? Good incest and bad incest.
Don't forget the good incest.
And then Nathan, you got Sharp Objects as your HBO show.
Yes, it's a very weird mini-series starring Amy Adams. Parks. Based on by Gillian Flynn, who also wrote Gone Girl, so it kind of has elements of that in it.
Yeah.
It's a really weird show about personal demons and sex, cutting. It's like a southern. Oh, what do you call those? Like southern gothic or something. Like it's got a weird vibe. It has all this shit about southern culture that's just bullshit. No, it is. And it has serial killing and brutal murder in it. Now the problem with the Sharp Objects, I didn't put it up at nights about it, because the last episode was terrible. They ended it in literally 3 minutes. It's like, okay, we gotta put all this shit together. We got 3 minutes of film left. I really hated that. Don't know why they did that so abruptly.
Yeah.
My biggest critique of it, but Amy Adams is great.
A cutter.
Yeah, it's basically someone who's a cutter, an alcoholic, and a drug addict.
Yeah, like she'll get like Avion bottles and then just fill it full of vodka and just, like go about the day.
South somewhere. I think they said they were in southern Missouri or something. So it's like 150 degrees out, fully humid. Like a champ.
And she's like, her editor like basically wants her to like take a break and go back home and like find her roots, and like she's covering the story of murders. It's like, maybe I'll turn into something.
And it does.
I think I've seen the trailer for it. I just didn't know it was like a short, like a mini series.
Yeah, just one season. I mean, it would be amazing if they did a season 2 of this, because it might answer questions.
There's something.
But this is why I like watching The Sinner, like and comparing it to this. Like The Sinner ends way better because it makes sense. Here it's just like ends on like, well, let's surprise the audience.
Yeah.
And then just cut away.
Which, considering what Gone Girl the book was, you could have expected it, but they did such a good job up till the end that I thought, oh, okay, maybe they'll move this out now.
Well, I didn't read the book at all, so I don't know if like that's how the book ends or not.
I read Gone Girl. I didn't like it. I didn't like the movie either.
Oh, you don't like the movie?
No, I thought it was almost obnoxious in a way. It's like, it's not the way I like story frame.
Yeah.
Are we gonna do weird? Are we gonna do psychodrama? Or are we gonna do like straight story with? How are we gonna do this? Like Gone Girl was like setting up to be like Silence of the Lambs, and then it just became, oh, it's just women's psychodrama stuff. It's like, oh, okay, whatever. I found it off-putting. Maybe someone can prove me wrong.
Yeah, it's. I don't know.
I guess I wasn't expect. Well, I guess like it doesn't really have a twist, but like how it ends is not at all how I'd expect it to go.
Right.
And that's what I appreciated about
I
it.
framed him for my murder, and now we're just gonna go about life again.
Well, I guess there's like a twist because like the first half of the movie is like, oh, this guy killed her, right? I mean, right? And then then they start going to her. It's like, oh, she's not dead. What the fuck's going on her here? And then she's like raping herself with a champagne bottle and slitting guys' throats so she's covered in blood. It's like, this is fucked up. And that end where it's like, you know, she's basically like, yeah, we're sleeping together. It's like, oh, she's just fucking, she's trapped this guy. He's in prison for the rest of his life. This is a fucked up movie.
I don't know. I mean, you kind of feel shitty for Ben Affleck's character, but then it's like, oh, he's an asshole because he's fucking cheating on her. and fucking like seems just like an asshat. And then it's like, wait, then you feel bad for him again.
Yeah.
Trapped into marriage with this
Yeah.
fucking psychopath.
Uh-huh.
But at the same time, it's like, yeah, I never really believe he killed her in the first place because the trailers spoiled that for starters, because it has her, like in the trailer, it's different, obviously different scenes, different people in the scenes, not with him, and it's a different house. So it's like, well, then I don't think she's actually dead. Plus, they never shot it in a way to like imply guilt on him. It was always more or less, I mean, the cops would say like, yeah, you did it or whatever, but it was more focused on him after the fact. There was too much time spent with him as a character for anybody to dislike him as a character, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
To me, you have to have more suspicion of, like, cut away to somebody else and, like, what is he doing when we're not looking at him kind of thing to make him seem guiltier, I guess.
Yeah, the sharp objects was great until the end. It's like, oh, here we go. Gone Girl Redux. We're gonna cram all these elements together on you.
For some reason, when you said Gone Girl the first time, I thought about that. What was the last movie that was like kind of similar, like the girl from
Girl on the Train?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the same author too, or is
I
that...
think it's the same author.
So that's basically all of his work. It's like it's okay until the halfway point of the ending, and then it makes no sense.
Gillian Flynn.
That's me and Andrew's category, but well, actually, I guess you didn't play a whole lot of games this year, right?
Red Dead 2,
Okay.
Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Valkyria Chronicles 4.
Did Tetris on myself.
Nathan's best game of the year, Tetris, and not even the good Tetris that came out this year.
Not even the Tetris I could ever play.
My game of the year was Into the Breach. This is a real-time strategy game, really simple graphics. Like I bought it on PC and played it, and then it came out for Switch, and I was like, "Fuck it, buy it again!" Like Into the Breach on the go. It's like that's how good it is. It's essentially like it's a real time, or it's a turn-based strategy game, but it's like it like works out. It's almost like a new chess.
Okay.
What's great about it is that you always know what's going to happen, and you have to like use your squad and their abilities to try to negate that. So at no point is anything. There are like some random spawns and things like that of the enemy, but like you know when the enemy is like coming up out of the ground, like you know everything that's going to happen in the next turn, and you have to account for that. There's even stuff like you go into a mission, you know what enemies can occur, and you can adjust. The only thing that's like random really is like sometimes there'll be time pods will appear and you can get new pilots and stuff like that. Like that stuff's random. Or the upgrades that are available at the shop, like that stuff's random. But otherwise, like I think this game is just extremely fair. All the different squads are like fun to use. Like even ones where it's like, this sucks, and then you find like a weird way where it works for you. It's like, this is kind of fun. Or using any science vessel where like, because they almost are never offensive units, and you like find a weird way to use it. There's one where like you can like switch spots with the enemies. Like that's all it can do. And it's like, well, this sucks. Like all you do is just move the enemy around. Who cares? But there's stuff where it's like, it's a floating unit, and like you can go off into the water, and like the bugs will be killed if they go in the water. It's like you go in the water, switch spots with it, and you just killed it. It's like, oh, that's how you make it offensive. Just a lot. It was just a really fucking cool game. It's fair. It's cheap. It's cool music. Cool, aesthetics and all that. So,
Plus, they gave me this free hat. No.
But your game of the year recently came out.
Yeah, it made a big impression on me because they did a really good job with rebalancing it, so it seems like, well, I mean, there's still a few dud characters that it's like, wow, this guy fucking sucks. But there's 74, so like a few of them have to suck. It's pretty much the rule of averages. But like I'm more of a, I don't know, I haven't been a hardcore gamer for a couple years now. I don't spend like a fuck ton of time gaming. I'm more of like, I kind of want to just get together with people and have fun. And that's kind of where this game fits in nicely, because it's just like anybody can pick up this game and have fun. Like, it's just fucking awesome. Like, the amount of detail they put into the game as far as the characters and their fighting styles. Because it's not a complicated game. It's not like Street Fighter where it's like, okay, to do the super move, you have to do up, down, corner, B. It's like A, hold right shoulder button and left shoulder button at the same time, hit Y or whatever.
Although I would prefer that.
I know you would prefer that, but I think it makes it
Because I feel like I'm not playing this game when I play it.
But it's just something where it's a fun game.
But as a package, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, just all the things it has.
Yeah.
Like, not just the characters, but just beyond that.
Yeah, I know. It has, like, Spirits Mode, which is, like, a cool kind of, like, strategy, like, fighting game.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of, like, trying to combine all these things with types and different abilities you can use to try and beat, because everything's different. You could have a level where everybody's 10 times faster than you and lighter than air, and you have to manage to hit them while having 100% HP damage. And then it's still, like, almost impossible to beat, because it's almost like all these modifiers from either environment or just fighting styles that change up the game every time, and you have to beat these people to either get more abilities or items, or, you know, to unlock characters you can use in your quest to do this. Or you have, like, you know, just practice mode, or you have just mash up with people where you can just do one versus the other. I think there's, like, up to 6 players, like, locally you can have, which is huge. I haven't had anything that big on local multiplayer for a while. And there's also classic mode, so you can just go through an arcade gamut and you can set the difficulty, and it gives you a painting at the end based upon your score. Like, so it's just like, okay, and then always unlocks, like, a new character battle at the end of it. And there's, like, Spirits, like, Light, where you can just, like, pick something you want to go for, and it gives you a random battle off of it and stuff like that. So there's a bunch of fucking shit in here.
And the stages are, like, some of them are pretty standard, but there's a lot of, like, ones that change, like, as you play the stage. And
yeah, there's huge stages that change and have a bunch of environmental effects. There's ones where it's like, hey, you play on a Game Boy Classic screen, and this is the stage. There's no falling off. It's just going towards the edge where you can't be seen anymore and you die.
There's a WarioWare one that's kind of neat, where it's like you can actually play while
give you bonuses during the fight too. I still haven't really figured that out, but it's pretty cool. And then it's just like, even the multiplayer, you can customize the shit. You can change what items you're able to use. You can change how many lives, what damage you take, what moves you can do, what the time limit is, and all that crap. So it's a very versatile game for $60, which unfortunately now it seems like the trend is, hey, pay $60, you get a half complete game, and you have to pay $20 a month to upgrade until the end of the year, and then you might get a full game. So
now we get Nathan and Andrew's category. Best model of the year.
Oh, yes. Well, of course.
Tyra Banks.
I was going to go with Cindy Crawford.
Okay.
Yes, I about 6 months ago now, I finished Bandai's Ultimate Edition Millennium Falcon, which was huge, and I've had it on the show many times, and all kinds of Facebook pictures of it. So it was a fun model to build. It was challenging. It was huge. It was a $400 model, which, you know, it's hard to make a $400 model look bad. Really,
oh, I've seen people do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. This was the first model I used oil paints on, which was gave it a great look, a unique experience. I've never done it again, but that's because it just almost became. Nice thing about Star Wars, you can get messy. There's no perfection there. You can really, because it's a dirty world, and you can make it as dirty as you want.
As far as, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, as far as Star Trek as a universe, considering how dedicated they are to, like, understanding and, like, having adventures and being scientific, don't have weathering on their ships.
Yeah, cool. Because they're not in service for long periods of time, and they're like science. They're like science projects. Every ship has to be.
But the Klingon one, like you said, like the torpedo port's like
burnt.
Yeah, it's burned over. So there's some other races have stuff like that, where it's more weathering and stuff.
Well, I just figured because like I never really, I guess I don't know the time scope of missions. I just figured there'd be something from either damages from, you know, like, hey, we ran into an asteroid field, or, somebody attacked us type of thing. Which there is that in the movies and stuff.
There
like
is that in the movies, but for a TV show, it's like,
Yeah.
hey, we got to build one model. Let's keep it around.
Shit out of. I mean, well, there's also like one of the big divergences between Star Wars and Star Trek is Star Wars is about, especially like Starfleet, the ships you're talking about, the really clean ones are like Starfleet type ships, because they're like they're exploration vehicles, or they're exploration vessels with like a kind of a sideline defensive purpose and they're much more capable than any of their adversaries, but they don't just straight up build battleships. Like one of the problems the Klingons had was their science was always way far behind the Federation, because they just built straight up battleships and all they did was float around and fight. You don't learn a lot by doing that. And so they were like, because like no other race has the giant outboard nacelles and the big deflector dish like the Federation does. And there's a reason the Federation ships have that in the canon of that universe, is because they're science exploration vessels. That navigational dish, as we saw, especially in the Next Generation, they use the fuck out of that. We're going to project, muon waves at this thing, and it'll disrupt its subspace, whatever. And then, because like none of the other races have that. So yeah, there's Star Trek is kind of a clean universe, or at least one that's like a well-maintained factory, whereas Star Wars is a much older universe and it's a lot more seedier pants. It's like, yeah, this technology works. It's always worked. Just strap this onto here and press a button and it goes, because that's Star Wars. That's what makes it fun and cool. You're not bugged by things like, well, why doesn't this work and why doesn't that work? And, or Star Trek tries to be a lot more technical. Because Star Trek's kind of based on how we solve problems, where Star Wars is a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. It's like there's humans there, but they're all from different cultures and everything. I mean, they've had how long have they had space travel in Star Wars? Like 5,000 years. So it goes way back.
Yeah.
So yeah, but Star Wars is a lot cooler in the fact that you can make things dirty. Things leak oil and stuff like that. The Millennium Falcon kit is amazingly complex, but very well thought out to assemble. Like, you're never putting something together and like, oh shit, wait, I got to do that first. No, it's all very linear. I mean, considering I decided not to use any of the big stickers and just paint everything by hand, but to match the stickers to make it look exactly like the stickers, they had a pretty comprehensive, their instruction book was like that thick, so.
Well, I hope so, for $400.
Anything. Yeah, I've bought expensive kits before that aren't that well thought out. There wasn't a lot of problem solving with this kit. It's pretty much as presented. The only problems I had to solve are what paints to use and when and where and how to assemble and when to paint. So that was, I didn't have to like, well, I'm going to have to go buy a metal rod now and cut part of this model out with a Dremel tool and glue it back together so it fits right. Like, there was none of that with this. This was all straightforward. I bought other kits where I had to do a lot of surgery and stuff. I mean, to the point where I thought, wait, am I doing something wrong? I look at the instructions, look at the kit, look at the internet, talk to people. It's like, nope, that's what I got to do. It's popsicle sticks and sheet styrene to make it. So that's but then again, that's like really obscure stuff. This was a kit, just mass production, made them a lot of money. I forget how many they sold down at the store I go to. I think it's like 25 of them, which actually shocked me. It's like, really? 25 people put out that kind of money? And what's even crazier is there's a kit a step above this that comes with lights. It's like there's another $125 you can throw on top of this and have the light up Millennium Falcon, which I didn't go for. $400 is about my limit.
Yeah, I don't know if I could ever comfortably spend $400 on a model. Could I comfortably spend $400 in a month on multiple models? Yes, I have before, and I probably will again.
The trick is here, I didn't. It was a Father's Day present.
Oh.
So, like, I didn't actually, like, give me money. I'm going to do this. It was kind of done for me.
Ah.
But again, there was implied violence if it wasn't done for me. So yeah.
There's implied violence.
There's a way to make things happen and leave enough of an escape.
Yeah, I don't know if I could tell my wife was like, well, if I don't come home to an Imperial Night, somebody's gonna get a black eye. And then-
Someone's getting slapped around tonight. Just saying. I don't mean anything by it.
and then she's like, would you like to change your tone? Yes, I'm sorry. You can have $180. Okay, here's mine. It's called a Mauler Fiends. It's a giant, like, chaos engine beast with, like, a bunch of tendrils and smokestacks and spikes and other shit all over it.
So is this organic, mechanical, or both?
It's like mechanical and, like, chaos energy, like, psychic power taint running.
Oh,
It looks like he has, like, gears in his arms and, like, rods going through, like, dead flesh and stuff. So it's just kind of like an animated kind of Hulk, like, half alive beast, half engine of doom type of thing.
That's a really beautiful looking model. Yeah, I like that. See his face. Oh, okay. Wow.
No, he's got a lot of detail. They do really good work with the bigger stuff. Some of it, there's a mod I put together today that's the same size but way more detailed as far as the angle and assembly and the detail it goes into. But I like that guy the most because he might seem like he has a lot going on as far as trim and tentacles and cords and cables running everywhere and stuff. But he's actually not too bad to paint and assemble. I think maybe it takes like an hour and a half to assemble, and it probably takes about 4 hours to paint if you're really, really fast with it. Maybe 5 if you're really getting more picky. So I mean, it's just
Some pipe skulls.
Yeah, I like those. Faces. Exhaust face pipes.
Yeah, it's different than I did there's another, it's called the Forge Fiend. It's the same kit, but you can make it with giant plasma guns or Gatling guns on the side. And that has like skulls for the muzzles for the Gatling guns. And so I made them like overheated blue aquamarine type color. I like that one a lot too, but I like this kit better because this thing just rips through shit pretty easy. As far as like close combat, and he has a good pose. He has a custom base I'm still working on. It has like a giant like quartz thing in it that looks pretty cool, but it's heavy as shit, so I'm trying to figure out how to get him attached to the base without breaking him.
Yeah, I like the color scheme there, that aqua bronze.
Yeah, I kind of went for the scheme for that army is a little bit different. It's like an actual more gold and just blue, and that's it. There's no other color to it. And I kind of wanted more of like an actual more like ancient Egyptian type looking thing, because the whole faction's supposed to be basically turned into dust and created by chaos gods. So I haven't really been paying attention to all the angles. I just kind of, it's like I like seeing it in real life because obviously the webcam can only do so much.
Right.
It's
more the lighting.
Yeah.
You
yeah,
just
it'd
have
be better
one light shining down below.
I should probably invest in a light box so I can take pictures and show them on here instead of trying to poorly show them in a dimly lit basement.
Yeah, it works.
You see my cock, Nathan? It's 9 inches long.
Wow, that's huge. How can I get a cock like that?
I think you would say, how can I get a copy of that?
Thanks.
No, but it's really sad if you go to eBay and just look for stuff like I occasionally do just to get stuff on cheap to work on or resell or whatever, because I've been trying to do that recently to make money, since I think I do a decent job painting and people have complimented me on it, but nobody's willing to pay for it around here for me to make extra money. So I'm trying to get enough stuff done right now where I can just post everything to eBay at once and maybe make a little bit of money, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's. I've ran into some guys now that I'm more well known in the model store about people that they may build models for other people.
Yeah.
but they get a lot of inquiries from other people, like, yeah, my dad or my grandpa flew this plane. How much would it cost to make that, a replica of this? And it's like, $800. And they're like, what? Like, do you know how many man hours? You're like paying me $1.25 an hour for the amount of time I'm going to have in that, because they think just people can whip this shit together in like a weekend. No, it doesn't work. But yeah, I know some guys that build other and like sell the stuff. They make a lot of money, but, and they're always down at the store and they're always buying a lot of stuff. It's like, yeah, this seems to have transcended the fun barrier, and like, I guess if you like building models.
Well, it's just something where, yeah, I kind of wonder how, whenever I get my stuff finally done, which hopefully will be in a couple months from now, I was hoping just to use it to, go to the bank account and add to my income and crap, but it doesn't mean that, some of it might not make its way back to the model store for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
Like, because we have guys...
That especially, I could see that there's people that just love the game aspect of it, but not necessarily... That
Yeah.
could probably be the thing.
Well, there's plenty of guys like game with or go to the shop with and stuff where there's like 2 or 3 guys that all they do is they love painting. Like they don't care about the modeling, they don't care about playing the game at all. Still buying everything, they just want to paint the models. And then there's a couple guys that just want to build stuff, and then there's like the rest of them that just want to either try new rules and try new games every couple months, or they just want to play games and that's it. So it's I don't know, it's a nice healthy mix.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, we have some Games Workshop guys in our group. And that stuff is amazing. He brings a lot of it. He's got like the box, like the case ring where it just breaks down into modules. Like got all this paints and stuff in it, and he has the models. That looks pretty cool. How much did that cost? Oh, don't ask.
Yeah, anything Games Workshop, they'll find a way to. They brought out like their holiday thing, where it's like a big paint in like hobby box. I think it's like 100 and it's cool because like it's honeycomb for the paint, so they don't move, and you can customize where the trays sit, so you can put stuff in there different sizes and mix and match it to make everything fit. And it's like it looks. There's no discernible handle to it. I don't like it because it's just rigid plastic. There's no padding. There's no comfort or thought as far as practicality goes. And you just kind of like stick your hands in holes in the side and carry it. So it's more like a crate. I think it's like $150 for like something roughly the size of like a bigger shoebox but made of plastic with honeycomb trays on the inside. And
This guy has something that's made out of wood.
Oh, okay.
This is I think it was something. I don't think this was an official Games Workshop product, but it has their iconography all over it, and it looks like 4 masonite blocks like stacked together with a belt around it, so you can put it on your shoulder. It, like breaks down into modules. It's really cool. But yeah, those guys that seems like very specific, expensive stuff.
Yeah, none of their stuff is cheap. The new paint pot I got is pretty good. It's $8, but that's about the cheapest thing that I can find. That's best model of the year. Conlon, so Tyra Banks. Or, what's her features? What does she got going for her?
She has a good smile and a banging ano.
Well, she also says, I keep in mind, I only know this because my wife is obsessed with her shows, except for talk shows. She doesn't watch that, thank God, but she watches the America's Next Top Model like no other.
Oh, yeah.
But I guess she claims the eyes smile. I can't remember what the fuck she calls it. It's like...
Smiling with your eyes.
Yeah, just whatever smiling with your eyes is. So it's like a constant critique of hers, like, you need to smile with your eyes more. And it's like, fucking, you're an idiot. Like, just shut up and look
Do something that's physically impossible.
But she always has, like, I don't mind watching the show for the critique part, because some of the crap they come up with is just total fucking stupid ass. I mean, I get it. I'm not a model. I don't know about posing for people professionally and shit, but at the same time, most of this shit just seems ludicrously made up and just a way to make people feel bad about themselves.
That's also you got to create drama. But
Yeah, that too.
on to music, best album of the year.
Yes. Now somebody added. I went to YouTube and listened to some of Ghost's Prequella.
Yeah.
How you say that?
Yep.
Prequel?
I think so.
Yeah, it's an interesting like old school sludge rock like art.
Well, they're almost like Judas Priest, where it's like heavy metal rock opera.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a story they want to tell. They have a narrative arc.
yeah, because that's the interesting thing about the band, because I didn't know about them until this year. And you can go back to all their stuff because it's all like this. But like every album is a concept album that's like telling a story, and every year the band, every person in the band takes on a character and a persona that they bring to their live shows,
Okay.
and they're characters within the story that they're telling in the album.
Very Gwar-like, but less cartoony.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they're like Swedish or from Norway or something like that. So, a lot of the music is. What's that?
Sing in English though.
Yeah. It's in English. I think a lot of the notes is. I found like familiarity with like Metallica. They kind of sound a lot like Metallica, but they have their own thing going. It's just. Yeah, it was just a really neat album. And they probably have better albums, but this is the one that came out this year, and I really liked it. I've liked all the stuff I listened to so far. They're just a really cool band that I never heard of till now.
Well, Nine Inch Nails didn't come out with an album this year.
No, they did. I just didn't like it as much.
Oh, okay.
They came out with Bad Witch.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it was like the third in their trilogy of EPs that they put out.
Oh, okay.
Because you had These Are Not the Actual Events, Add Violence, which was last year, and then this year was Bad Witch.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I listened to that album and I re-listened to it again, and it's kind of like it just didn't do anything for me. Like it was fine, but like I didn't really get like energy from it. Whereas like Ghosts, like it like kind of shivers up your spine or whatever. It's just cool.
Oh, okay. What's Officer Down?
Bad Wolves. They did a cover of Zombie from Cranberries as like one of their main tracks as far as like intro to the world. I think this is their first album.
So,
As far as
what
this
kind of band would you describe them as?
Like hardcore. They're more like Static X or
Okay, cool.
something like that, where it's just it's singing, but it's also screaming and it's heavy guitar, and it's just like the first fucking song is literally just called Officer Down, where it's just like it's just basically equating, or at least from the lyrics, as far as I can understand, it's like, oh, so it's okay if a cop just kills somebody for no reason, but if a cop dies, that's a horrible thing, or whatever. It's like, so, I mean, it's kind of a politically statement album, but it also has good songs on there. I can't complain about any of the songs at all. I like all of them. So it's hard to find an album for me anymore where I'm not like, yep, skip that song. Like, don't care about that. It also has, I mean, there's one or two slower songs that are more emotional, but it also has good energy where it's like, this is a good CD to work out to if I worked out. Or to do stuff to around the house. Or paint really fast.
Speed painting.
Hey, it's a thing. You can do it with washes. It's pretty, sometimes it's decent.
Yeah.
And then Nathan, you had Clutch again, I think. You keep.
Clutch. They keep well, the last one was 2015.
Okay.
But yeah, this came out in September. It's a book of bad decisions. It has, I mean, it's typical post. What would you call that? Like your post organ music Clutch album, where they got, because they I forget which album it was, where that guy who used to play they used to play like church organs and stuff, and that guy left the band. This is more of a
to do a Carnival of Souls remake.
yeah. Well, I mean, Clutch always had a weird sound. They always have the smartest. They have smart lyrics. I like bands with smart lyrics. That's why I like Marilyn Manson. That's why I like, and a lot of Book of Bad Decisions. Of course, I mean, the cover of the album is a bald eagle on a branch. So it has the songs like Spirit of '76. In walked Barbarella. What else? It was basically it's kind of a riff on modern politics and stuff that happened before the Civil War and other weird things that they mix into their music. I mean, Clutch is probably, if you like that funk, blues, rock stuff, which is what they are, they're probably one of the smartest bands out there you'll find if you really listen to their lyrics. And this album is no exception. Sometimes it almost, weirdly enough, this album, if you play it, just play it straight through, some of the songs, like it all runs together, like it almost sounds the same, which is kind of unusual for them. Usually they mix it up, but in this album, a lot of the songs seem to
So like they feed into each other?
Not feed into each other, but it's like there's definitely a pause and then the next track plays, but you wouldn't really notice it. Like, oh, this is a different song. It's like, no, this is more of the same. The lyrics are different. The tempo is a little different. It's a little more downbeat, or it has a little guitar solo in it, or something you'll notice. But it tends to run on, which is unusual. I noticed it with this album, whereas a lot of their other albums, their songs are very distinct unless they are meant to run together. Because songs from their earlier albums like Space Grass Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, it was Part 2, but actually no, that's just one long Pink Floyd song runs together that they chopped up for the album. That's a great album if you like Clutch. If not, then don't.
Well, because you wouldn't say Clutch is classified as prog rock, would you?
No, it is blues funk.
Okay.
Written by a guy who knows a lot about American history. And strange things in there. What's his name? Neil Fallon, the lead singer. I mean, Clutch has been around they've been around since I was 16 years old. And they've consistently released an album like almost every 2 years since then. And they've changed a lot over the years, too. They used to have just like crazy shit where they were just screaming into a mic. Like a Shogun named Marcus was just like almost like death metal, but with its own weird vibe. And then they evolved. I think Robot Hive Exodus was their last album where they had the church organ in it. So yeah, they've had their band with a distinct arc and a good career. And you hear them a lot in soundtracks and stuff. Some of their songs pop up. They're not as widely known in like huge acts, but they've always been consistent. So, and
I've heard of them for a while. I just never really listened to their music. So
I think that's early in their career. They were like featured on the X Games or at some point, stuff like that.
Yeah, they had that.
Is the X Games still a thing anymore?
I think so. It's just more like I don't. Yeah, it still is.
Okay.
It's like a stoner thing.
Well, because in the early 2000s and like late 90s, it was really big to do like BMX and snowboarding and stuff like that. But I don't think that's really a thing anymore.
I don't think ESPN makes it a big event like they used to, but it still occurs.
Because I know that all those sports still exist, but I just didn't think it was as big on that scale as it used to be. So
yeah, it doesn't feel that way, but I think it's more of an international thing nowadays. Because like I've seen like on like Saturdays they'll have like tournaments in Spain and Germany, and they'll just be on TV, just like, hey, here's some shit going on, but it's not the big X Game production like it used to be. I created a runner-up album category just for, because I don't know how to say this band's name. Huh?
Is there stuff you wanted to talk about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the next one it's from a band I know, and I like all their albums, and they continue to this is my consistency award. I don't know how to say the band's name because the guy's Italian. I think it's like Sonoio, but I always call it Sono-io because then I'll never misspell it.
All right.
The album's called Fine, and it's a great album. It's not fine, it's great. It's got a couple bangers on there that put in some of my playlists and stuff, and the whole album is pretty good. You know, some stuff like I think there's one song that's kind of a lull, but like I can listen to the album front to back, and I really enjoyed it this year. But Ghost was a surprise to me, so it's kind of like it's just my runner up.
Oh, okay.
And you have Death from Above 1970, but what's the album that's
Shit. I think it's like crap.
actually I can probably look it up.
It's God damn it. I want to say it's like Dis something, but I can't think of the damn name. Yeah, I'll let you find it. For all I know, it came out in 2017. I just didn't know about it till this year. So technically, Outrageous now.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that technically, if it came out in 2018 or not.
It says 2017.
Okay.
You
Well,
heard it in
my bad.
2018.
I didn't
It's okay.
find it till this year. So
Like the last few years, whenever we do the category, it's kind of like, well, this is the music I listened to this year. So nowadays, I kind of like try to find music like, all right, what came out this year? Because I know like fucking Broken from Nine Inch Nails is gonna win again, but
well, it's just something where it's like I've bought like 4 or 5 whole albums this year.
Yeah.
And 2 of them have been great. 3 of them have been massively disappointing that I've automatically deleted them and don't want them to ever listen to them again. Because the Arctic Monkeys' new album was complete fucking shit. It was literally, if you like a guy in a British accent talking over moody tunes, that's their album. It was really bad. And then there's new Smashing Pumpkins album. That's shit. Like, I don't know why they just, like, their last album was great, and that was like 5 or 6 years ago, and I was like, oh, okay, they put out a new album, I have to check this out.
Yeah, because I think I heard good things about it. I don't think it's shit, but like it doesn't like tip the scale at all. It's like it's just even throughout, and I don't think the writing was good as what I've expect out of Smashing Pumpkins, and there wasn't really like a hot banger on the thing. It's like, yeah, let's listen to that track again. Like I couldn't identify a single track on the album. I just listened to the album. It was fine.
Because otherwise, like the only thing I've bought this year, otherwise has been great, is like the Cranberries. Like I bought their like best of like all their like hit songs, and like that's been a great album to listen to. But as far as like recent music,
yeah.
I mean, it's been Death from Above 1979's Outrageous now, because there's really good. They recapture a lot of the energy they had from their first album that everybody loved. Their second album was not very good at all. I don't know if they just couldn't figure out what was going on or what, but it was. They broke up for like 10 years, and because they were doing other crap, and then they came back to do this album finally. So I'm glad they're back, and they did a. There's only one track I'm not like hugely into on this album, but it's only because it's not my thing. I'm sure some people like it, but other than that, I thought it was very. For some reason, I gravitate towards albums that either make you feel really good about things if you listen to them, or like high energy songs. So even though, as you can tell, I'm a high energy person, I'm just going all the time. I just never stop.
A couple of bands I found this year, they didn't release an album this year, but I found New Division a long time ago when I was making that list of new wave music.
Oh.
So they have some new stuff that's pretty good. A band I found that's just like a regular kind of morose rock band called the Black Angels. Like they're really good. Like I never heard of them before, and they have like albums that are good, and I've like never heard of them before.
I have one of their albums. I actually have 2 of their albums.
There's another Brian Jonestown Massacre, which I think they've been featured somewhere, but that's kind of a.
The Black Angels are very much like, it's kind of from their 2 albums that I listened to. It's like if you put it in a Vietnam movie soundtrack, it would feel right at home, and that's why I like them. They're very classic type sounding band.
And then like I have the next category I have is best after work song, so I'm constantly popping in Ministry Every Day is Halloween, so that's my best after work song. Huh?
It's a good one.
Just because it's kind of energy and it's about people being oppressed, so.
Mine's slightly depressing but positive in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, Fortress off of the newest Villains album, Queens of the Stone Age.
I don't think I've listened to like the last 3 Queens of the Stone Age albums.
You need to
And I think they're like one of the best bands ever.
They are. They're consistently in my top band, and I fucking love them. And as long as they keep producing albums that are even halfway be able to listen to, I'll love them completely to death. But like this song is basically written for his kids and stuff like that, and kind of telling them, like, the message is like, hey, no one can stand on their own. Everybody needs somebody to help them, or, you know, to go to in tough times. And this is kind of like his way of saying that in the song. And it's a very well put together song. It's slow, but it's like moody. It has energy, and it just kind of hits all the right notes as far as like being like a song like I want to cry to, but also like fucking have a profound emotional moment at the same time.
Let's get motivated.
So I mean, it's
Start
just,
to cry.
No, it's just something where it's like, I have no problem. I'm a grown man. I'll weep to good music. Fuck that. Like I'm a pussy when it comes to music. But
Do you have an after work song, Nathan?
Not really.
Just more clutch.
Yeah, it's that or a bunch of like sounds recordings from Slaughterhouse.
you don't put on Fight for Your Right to Party from the Beastie Boys.
Yeah, that's it.
No.
And then I create a category just for myself that doesn't really need to exist, called Best Wrestling Entrance Music. Which usually wrestlers' entrance music is like static, so it's like they get one that works and they use it for the rest of their career. So I don't know. I've been listening to the song. It's not necessarily a good song. It just basically kind of sounds like a Marilyn Manson, like someone just ripped off Marilyn Manson. The band, the 2 guys that make this, like they make all the music for WWE.
Oh, okay. So this is a house band.
Yeah, and they basically do various rip-offs of other artists, but Tommaso Ciampa, he's the current champion. He's a heel. He's really fucking doing it's just great what he's doing right now.
Yeah.
But for a while after he was in a tag team called DIY, and then they fight each other. It's him and Johnny Gargano. They're constantly fighting. And so like Tommaso Ciampa, he didn't like have an entrance music for like a really long time. Like for a while he just would come out to boos and like silent music and boos. It really worked.
Yeah.
So when he became the champion, then he got a theme song of his own. And it's called No One Will Survive. So Alexa, play No One Will Survive.
No One Will Survive, Ciampa by WWE, CFOS from Spotify.
And it's saying he's the Black Heart. That's like his thing.
Sounds like a country song to me. Get it? No one will survive. Okay.
And I think he won the championship, and he comes out. He calls the championship Goldie because it's a gold NXT on it. And he comes out hugging it like he can't let go of it. Like this is his precious. And the way the whole like visual setup is like blood and gold. So it's kind of like red lights like spanning everywhere, just like flashing the crowd or going on him, and then like gold, and there's like the video package is like blood and gold. And he's walking down to this, and he'll have a shirt. It looks like American flag draped down, but with like yellow stripes, and it's like tattered at the end. And where the stars and stripes would be is the black heart, like which goes over his heart. Alexa, stop. So yeah.
Alexa, play Officer Down.
Officer Down by Bad Wolves from Spotify.
Oh, I think my tablet is playing it. Alexa, stop.
I couldn't couldn't find any enabled video skills that can do that. Alexa app to manage your
We have
video
dueling
skills and
Alexas.
devices.
Oh, we have multiple.
Alexa, stop.
I couldn't find any enabled video skills that can do
Alexa,
that.
stop.
Go to- I couldn't find any enabled video skills that can do that.
Christ.
Go to the Alexa app
Oh,
to
no,
manage your
Alexa.
video skills and devices.
Alexa, stop!
Our AI overlords are just—they're coming to take us over.
Yeah, I see. I have an Alexa, and then I have the tablet, and they fight over each other.
Oh, they both want your attention. They're both competing for your attention.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is this is an affordable way to get two women to fight over me.
So I think the regular Alexa's closer to me, and then the other one, I guess, can hear you better because of the curtain, I guess.
Yeah, you say it then. See if it'll...
Alexa, play Officer Down.
Officer Down by Bad Wolves from Spotify.
Well, that's the thing. The speaker spoke in the first place, and then the tablet played it.
Alexa, stop. Was it coming through you as a robot?
Yeah, it sounded like robots screaming at each other.
Okay.
The pixelation or audio artifacting.
I'll have to listen to
The best book I read this year.
That would be the Bible.
that. Dianetics?
Yes. I want to tell you about this new thing I've discovered. Oh, we're gonna have so many listeners now. So we have that's Dianetics. We'll save the galaxy for food.
Yeah, this is
Yahtzee crossbow.
Yahtzee Croshaw.
Oh. I thought you were trying to say Nazi. I'm like, what the fuck are we talking about?
I don't know if you ever see it. He does some video game reviews. It's called Zero Punctuation. I don't know. Have you ever seen that before?
No, I haven't.
He just does really long, or he does these things where basically it sounds like he never stops. Like there's no punctuation. It's just like one long breath. It's generally humorous and stuff like that. But so this is a book he wrote. He's written some other books. It has similarities to the Pradar Moon, or I guess that universe. What do you call it? What's the universe? Polity universe, where it's like there's like all these spaceships and star pilots and everything, and then they create a quantum tunnel, and then like they're never needed again.
Oh, okay.
So these are guys that basically kind of do thrill rides for tourists to try to make ends meet, but like they're called pilots. And there's a specific thing, like it's kind of a neat idea, I guess, to make this a young adult novel, is that there's a thing called pilot math, which is basically just swearing with math terms.
Oh, okay.
So like so you have multiply, so then you have ply. So it's like, oh, this plying stuff, and it's like that's why you say fuck is plying and ply and stuff like that. And then subtract, tract, and like tract means like shit. And so that's throughout the novel, so that's like how the people talk and swear, is like they call it pilot's math.
Oh, okay. That's kind of interesting.
It's just really fun, funny book. And it's just like I really enjoyed it, even though I fell off and for 5 months. I was like, I should probably get back to that book.
Yeah.
uh,
For a few months.
so there's like part where it's like it's supposed to be he ends up impersonating a guy who stole everybody's stories, pilot stories, and like made books, and then like that guy like made a ton of money, and so he has to like impersonate him for this job, where this crime lord is trying to impress his son. It's like, look, I found Jack McCune. That's the name of the guy that's supposed to, like, you know, wrote all these stories. So he pretends to be Jack McCune. And then they end up, like, kidnapping the kid and, like, some president's daughter, because, like, he's dating, like, the one kid's dating this girl who's, like, mom is, like, the president of the earth or whatever.
Okay.
And then so they have to like go out to pirate territory to try to escape. I don't know, the plot's not that important. It's just a really funny book.
Oh, okay.
So that's why it was my book. It didn't come out this year, but that was my favorite book I read this year.
I picked a lighthearted romp myself. I enjoyed Thin Air by Richard K. Morgan in his return to the universe of 13. This is a couple hundred years after that book, I think. But this is another great Richard K. Morgan novel. This time the hero's a new guy. He's Håkon Vale, who's in that universe is called a hibernoid, which he sleeps for 4 months and he's active for the other 8, I guess, in 24 hours. Because this guy never sleeps because he doesn't need to. Because he sleeps 3 straight months. Well, he's called a hibernoid, and he's basically another enforcer for the last dying vestiges of capitalism, where it's exploited everyone to the maximum. And this novel's set on Mars, which is it's just another Richard K. Morgan novel. Intense violence, sex, and science fiction. All mixed together with a happy blend of memorable characters and witty dialogue.
Huh.
Yeah.
I bought this. I just haven't listened to it.
I mean, if you like Richard K. Morgan, it's great. And his return to science fiction after his weird foray into Dungeons and Dragons, whatever.
Also, like, to go back to We'll Save the Galaxy for Food, is like, it's a really good book on tape because the guy reads it, and like that's kind of like his primary thing. He's like, hey, he's Australian or something, but he does a really good but it's very like kind of deadpan British humor. So like a lot of his performances like make you laugh out loud. Like I had a lot of laugh out loud moments listening to this book.
Oh, okay. Well, but yeah, if you like Richard K. Morgan, you like science fiction, and you like sex and violence, Thin Air is your book for this year.
And then Andrew, you've been reading the Game of Thrones books. So.
The only books I've been reading this year besides comic books. So I'm very literature first. No, I very much, obviously this is based on my love for the show to begin with, so I didn't just pick these up out of nowhere. But at the same time, I like how obviously I don't think any good TV show that is popular is based entirely off the source material, so it's nice to have some differences and stuff to keep you interested so you don't know everything along the way. But the characters themselves and everything else are just even more vivid to have more detail added to them, and it's a nice go through of memories, or from the TV show, but also of good standalone. That's doesn't seem like a 1,000-page book or more every time I read one. It seems like a light, breezy epic, but at the same time, still very dark and still very like, what the fuck happened? So I mean, find it very disturbing how some of the novelists that I read can come up with such. Well, I guess just like you're talking about with your last author, just weird sexual details or sex scenes that come out of nowhere, or just like really violent scenes, and it's like I get that they're making a very vivid picture here, and it's very distinct and very off-putting, or I don't know, drives you to feel an emotion through reading it, but at the same time, it's like, do you really need to go that far? Tone it back a little. No.
Once it's written, we can't go back.
Well, 'cause it just makes me wonder about these people in their real lives. I'm like, if you're writing this as a sex scene in the book, then obviously I'm thinking you're a little bit fucked up in the head, sir. But at the same time,
I've
I've read the first 3 of these. I read them in the early '90s when they came out.
Yeah.
So it was quite shocking back then. It's like, this isn't The Hobbit. The Magic Kingdom for sale. Like, you know, it went from lighthearted to like, you like these characters, they're gonna fuck people and then die.
Well, I mean, most of the fucking part is not that bad. It's just more or less like all the incest stuff that's kind of shitty.
Well,
but
in any fantasy novel where people or explicit sex is described, and then you throw incest in on top as a delicious spice, really shocking in 1991. Now it's almost every other thing you read. But yeah, no, I remember these the first 3.
Yeah, and when did the 5th book come out? Because that's one I'm on. That just started right now, so I'm on the last book.
Winds of Winter?
No, not Winds of Winter. That's like the prequel one. Dance of Dragons, I think, is the 5th one.
I mean, yeah, the 4th and the 5th one have come out since the series started, haven't they?
Maybe? I don't remember.
Yeah.
It's just been something where I know we've been waiting on the 6th book for what seems like a while now, or at least that's how people complain about it. So I don't know how long the actual wait's been because I haven't been keeping track.
I like the Onion article about that. It's like, George R.R. Martin fans now hope he will die. Because they're tired of waiting.
Well, he's got that new sci-fi show everybody's raving about too, doesn't it? Or no?
I don't know how much is everyone's raving about it. I tried.
I forgot to watch that. Nathan did not like
it. Sorry, I heard good things about it. So.
Well, yeah, because I like Nathan didn't. Like, I don't know if you could quickly express what you didn't like about it, or just what they changed from the novel.
Yeah, they just made it something completely different.
And so, like, it's supposed to be an experiment, like, for me to watch it because I have no attachment to the story whatsoever. See if a normie would like it.
Well, I'd probably like it then because I have no attachment to the novel either. So I mean, I've only heard good things about it up to this point. I didn't know it was a novel beforehand, so that's probably why.
Watch it. I mean, tell me what you think. I don't. I just based on. It's not just its malice towards the original material. It's just not a good show.
Oh.
Doesn't seem to go anywhere.
Well, there's just not a lot of sci-fi that gets put on TV anymore. I mean, besides the new Star Trek and besides Expanse. And both of those always seem in jeopardy of going away. So it's just something...
It's going to be fun. So everyone put on your fun.
I mean, I guess there is the...
And Orville's not going to be fun. So put on your shirt.
What's the one that comes out in January you're looking forward to? The Blue something? Task Force?
Project Blue Book?
Yeah, that's kind of sci-fi, but I mean, not like sci-fi.
I mean, I'm just looking forward to that because it looks cool. I know nothing about it. Just the trailer was effective, and Project Blue Book was a real thing, and of course, none of the stuff they seem to be talking about from the trailer ever really happened. But if it's cool, I'll watch it.
Yeah,
kind of like the X-Files, it seems like, but they've got a good cast. But like I said, I'm just casting a dagger into the dark, hoping it hits something. This could be terrible.
Well, because otherwise, History Channel only has the Viking show as like its main like hit show, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big hit too.
Or besides like Ancient Aliens or whatever fucking show where it's like aliens built this now.
They have like some Western show now. I'm not sure, like some Hatfield and McCoy like show.
I haven't watched.
I'm not sure if it's
freaking History Channel for like probably a decade now on a regular basis.
At least know what that was.
I mean,
so anyway, to round out the evening for best of the year, this is a book me and Conlon just started listening to recently, and I finished because it was so enjoyable. The Rise and Kill First. The Secret History of Israel's Targeted Assassinations by Ronan Bergman. I'm sure I'm not saying his name right. It's probably something different. There's one thing I learned from listening to this book is I can't keep track of these names. I know who Ariel Sharon and Benjamin Netanyahu are, and I know who, like the first Prime Minister of Israel. I recognize that name, but all these other people that are blended in, it's like, okay. It's an interesting sounding name. what were your thoughts? Where did you hear about it?
I was looking up, like, because I wanted, like, I knew this would be a category. It's like, was there any book that came out this year that I listened to? Because I didn't listen to a lot of books this year or read. And I just looked up a New York Times list of, like, best books, and this one caught my eye. It's like, that sounds cool. Just a history of targeted assassin. And the book is called Targeted Killings. For specifically, because that's what the U.S. calls assassination, is targeted killings for legal reasons. Because I think it's like against the Geneva Convention to assassinate people. But targeted killings is fine. It has purpose.
Well, it's against the Geneva Convention to assassinate leaders of an officially recognized country. See, that's always the battle with the special. Well, because we do that shit all the time too.
Yeah.
But it's always like, well, this was an Al Qaeda guy or an ISIS guy. This isn't a nation. Because we always say we'll never assassinate the leaders of legitimate nations. No, we'll just destroy your economy or do something else. We won't assassinate you though, because we don't want you to assassinate our people.
We don't.
But yeah, I just thought this was like just a very fascinating book. It covers a lot of stuff, which kind of be confusing because it'll jump around in time from like here's World War II to like modern day, but like
an 800-page book to read.
Yeah.
Dense.
But like everyone's story, it's like starts with the Holocaust, or like it'll be like, oh, someone's whole family was like they're the last surviving member of their family, and like now they're in their 20s, and it's like 1985, and they're doing. I guess that wouldn't make sense, but anyway, it'd be the 70s, and then whatever.
It's like the guy who ran the Mossad, the last guy, like that Meyer Dagan, had a picture of his grandfather who was on his knees, with his hands on his head, about to be executed by the Nazis. Somebody took the picture and they found the roll of film later or something like that, and he would show that to the operatives before they went off on their mission, and be like, the reason we're doing this is so we don't end up like that again. And it was a picture of his own grandfather being executed by the Nazis. There was a lot of that. The history of the Israelis, like it was very dark.
And also just the audacious things they would do to like try to kill. I like the one where like they were gonna kill a guy at like a soccer game, and so they elaborately put a large amount of explosives in a stadium, and decided that's too many innocent people that are gonna die, and then had to secretly smuggle out the explosives they put in the soccer stadium.
180 pounds of plastic explosives. Like, we gotta get this out now. We decided killing 5,000 people might look negative.
It would.
There were weird moments in the arc, the history, because this dealt with three organizations. You had the Mossad, which is like our CIA. And you had the IDF, which is the military, the Israeli Defense Force. And then you had the Shin Bet, which is like military intelligence / FBI. A lot of things over there.
Well, there's Hassan too. That's like more like the CIA, isn't it?
Amman, yeah.
Oh,
well,
Amman.
That's like they seem to be like intelligence aggregators.
Okay.
Like they did a lot of the ELINT type stuff. That'd be more like the NSA.
Okay.
And at least that's what I got out of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
'Cause
There's a lot of organizations that can just kill people if they get a stamp to do so.
And it seems like they kind of rise and fall with the prime minister. It's like, well, this guy likes the Shin Bet. This guy likes the Mossad. This guy prefers the IDF. And because it goes through so many prime ministers. I mean, everyone from Ben Gurion, who was the first guy, and then Golda Meir, and then there were other, I can't remember all of them. We had Ariel Sharon, who was like a crazy right-winger, and then Benjamin Netanyahu, and then the guy that got assassinated. We had Ehud Barak. Yeah, it's hard to keep track of all the prime ministers and their political affiliations.
One thing I thought was interesting that I didn't know about at all is that, so it was like And I kind of see like the Zionist movement as something that was like post World War II,
Yeah.
because I don't know anything about it. But like there are Zionists in Israel or in that area fighting the British,
Yeah.
like as World War II is going on. Like that was like they were there, like the way the Indians were kind of like fighting back against the British after World War II, or was that during as well? I can't remember.
Yeah. All the time.
So yeah, but yeah, they're like killing British guys to try to get them out of Israel so they could have control of the place. And like I never do.
Palestine.
Yeah.
They make it into Israel. Yeah.
It's like I didn't know about that because like a lot of those guys end up being like, you know, part of this crew. It's like, hey, we're good at killing people. Like,
I was 17. I shot this British guy to death. Yeah, they had all different groups.
but yeah, it's a lot of different stories, but it's very interesting. We'll probably talk more about it later on.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the most interesting books I've read in a while. One of the things I liked about it is like this stuff was kind of an ambiguous. I got the vibe from the intro. The guy who wrote this book was not pro targeted assassination. But then as you follow the narrative, it's like sometimes this shit really worked, and then sometimes it like unleashed a firestorm against them. It's like it was almost random. Because there was one time when they killed the really important guy. I can't think of his name. They were worried about this huge backlash. They had all their troops on standby, and then nothing happened. And the other time, they would like rocket attack a minor functionary, and it's like, oh, the second Intifada started because of this. It's like, whoa, how do these things connect? You know, a lot of it had to do with the mood of the people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, because there's a lot of, it was like yeah, it was like kind of the people as a whole kind of reacting to things, because a lot of times, even when like an organization would take credit for it, it's like they weren't the ones responsible for it, or even they didn't even like
well, yeah, the Israeli intelligence services would kill someone and then make up a fake Palestinian organization that would call and claim credit, like, we killed him because he's not pure of the faith. But everyone knew, it's like, oh, the fucking Israelis did this because this group we've never heard of. It's obviously the Israelis, and even the Israelis knew it would be obvious that they did it, but if they didn't claim credit for it, there was always like the shadow of doubt. It gets super dense sometimes. Like,
You think of how good the Israeli is with like wet works and stuff. They would just have a cell they created and have it sitting around and take credit for everything all the time. Like all these attacks on everybody and anything, just take credit, just exist, and not just be some random thing every time.
well, one thing you find out in this book is they're not like this 10-foot tall Superman we think they are. Their hit miss ratio is pretty high. I mean, it's like they have spectacular successes, but they also have spectacular failures.
well, I also have like, it's kind of, there's like how they consider like red targets, where it's like we need to kill an enemy in an enemy state,
Yeah.
and that's usually when they get their shit together for that. But it's like, oh, this guy's in Italy, let's just send a college student over there with a rifle or a 22 handgun and just have him kill him. Like, oh, he's claustrophobic, and he got caught and interrogated by the Italian police, and he just gave up everything. Oh, and it's in his file. He wrote down that he's claustrophobic.
Or let's send these people to do a high-grade assassination on an Iranian nuclear scientist. Do we have proper fake passports? No. Can we just use the ones we've used 20 times? Yeah, sure, fuck it. All be said, and then they catch, like, they figure out right away who did it. And very obvious in public.
Or there's that one where that one dude tried to Manchurian candidate that dude.
Yeah.
They put him on shore with money and a gun, and he immediately like went to the police. Here's the money the gun gave me. Like, get me the fuck out of here.
Brainwashed me.
There's one where like they caught information that like the I think it was the PLO, that they were gonna attack or like a reservist. Like there's like this place where the reservists were hanging out, and so the Mossad impersonated the reservists. So they had like baggy uniforms and pot bellies, and they're fake potbellies. And like when the attack was coming, they ripped them off, and they had like Uzis underneath, and like fucking killed all these guys.
Yeah. Yeah, there were some moments of brilliance in there, and just moments of just abject brutality and sadness.
Yeah.
And I like when they were talking to the CIA guy about, because a lot of it had to do with America too, and like this kind of notion of don't offend. What would they say? Like don't offend Big Brother or something, or don't offend the father when the son is so close. Because they always like tried to get stuff from us, but we didn't want to necessarily be involved, but we weren't going to say no. But they were talking about, remember when they made the cell phone that would explode, so it would just kill the guy, but not his family or the people with them?
Yeah.
The CIA guy was like, why the fuck are you making this so hard? Just kill them all. They're Palestinians. No one gives a shit. And the Israelis are like, well, we can't exactly kill like a room full of people. It's like, yeah, you can. Deny it. Who gives a fuck? You know, they're like, oh god. Because remember when they killed that guy who'd killed a bunch of Americans, and they did it in another country, and this was like when George W. Bush was president, and they said, yeah, we can't really support your operation, and they said it was this guy, and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, we'll support that. The one guy that I think it was Dagan said, yeah, the Americans always seem nice, but they're really cold. And when it comes to like people who've killed their people, they're all about it. They just don't want to get their hands dirty in a visible way. But like the one guy said, if a Hellfire missile is made in like Michigan or something, it's like if we use them or you use them, it's the same Hellfire missile. It's like, no, we have legal boundaries.
I like the one they were being careful with in terms of America is like they impersonated an ABC film crew one time because this guy was on TV. Yeah. And they just made up this whole thing. Got this guy's like, hey, we're gonna do this interview on this hill. Killed him. And then they found out like, wait, what? And then like their family was asking around. It's like, hey, ABC, like we haven't seen our like the husband for a while. Like what happened? And then it got around. It's like, what the fuck did you guys do? Never impersonate American media ever again. Any other media is fine. Not American media.
Well, I like the thing with like how they got caught with the passports, because they said like U.S. passports, like when we send people overseas, like CIA people or whatever, to kill people, U.S. passports are almost universally accepted, except for like very few countries, and they don't even arouse suspicion. Because we have so many businessmen, and the U.S. issues, I think they said we issue more passports than anyone else, so we can have like fake passport upon fake. Like this guy can have 5 American passports to get in and out of a country, and they'll have all the entry stamps and stuff on. But Israeli passports, they're only accepted in like 18 countries. A bunch of places you can't go with an Israeli passport, so they have trouble getting a hold of fake passports. And we can print them off like the mint, but we won't give them to the Israelis because we don't want to be implicit in their assassination. Even though it all benefits, yeah, we're kind of working towards the same purpose. And the stuff about Arafat was sad. It's like, wow, I see. I always thought that one thing I learned from this book that I didn't know, because I guess I never paid attention or it wasn't explicitly spelled out. I thought all the stuff that went on between Israel and the PLO was under the aegis of the PLO. I thought like the Intifada, all that shit was because the PLO initiated it. And I thought there was only one Palestinian group. But I knew they had like Lebanese groups, but I didn't know like how many different people were fighting Israel simultaneously, unconnected to one another, because the Syrians were supporting one group, the Iranians were supporting another, the Iraqis and the Saudis were supporting yet a third, and it was like, oh, I thought this was all one thing, and it all followed up the pyramid to Yasser Arafat. I didn't realize it's like, no, there's all kinds of people doing all kinds of shit, and they're all getting their oil money and giving it to these guys.
all the kind of tactics we associate with terrorism, the Israelis started it and did it to them.
Yeah.
Makes
like
sense.
car bombs, mule bombs, like all this stuff. It's like
Drones
Well,
were-
usually somebody's got to be the first, and I can't say Israel's not known for fighting dirty, or at least getting more than an eye for an eye. Like,
Well, the funny thing is, as you're listening to this book, you'll want to go to your computer and look at maps because it's like, wait, what are they talking about? Where's the West Bank? What's the Gaza Strip? How does that relate to Egypt and Jordan? And then you look at these maps and you're like, this fucking area is smaller than New Jersey.
yeah.
Fucking thousands of people. This is a very tiny. I mean, Israel is a tiny country,
yeah,
and all people there. But then you look at Syria, and it's like it's giant. I mean, most of it's desert, but it's like, oh my god, these people are just surrounded by desert and angry people. But yeah, because sometimes you're listening to the book or reading it, or I listen to it and it's like, wow, these are really small geographic areas we're talking about. Because I thought like, oh, they're sending F-16s into Lebanon to bomb this guy's apartment. It's like, well, how long does that take? It's like, oh, about as long as it would take me to drive to Ohio. It's like it's that close.
I like the one part where they were trying to get an airstrike on a guy and they got it confirmed, but like it was cloud covered, and so they were flying low to try to drop the bombs on the target, but because they were low, that the bombs were set for a certain altitude,
Yeah.
and so they didn't go off, and so the bombs just clanked against the building. But one guy got the guy's driver got hit by a fucking bomb and killed. Just a loose bomb killed the dude.
From impact. Trauma.
Yeah, it didn't go off. It
I
just
mean, we
fucking
should-
hit the guy.
I mean, to be honest, we should really get more impact out of the casings of the bomb. I mean, it's like, yes, they're shrapnel, but they could do more work as a whole piece before they explode. Just have them bounce around for a little bit before they go off.
I was like, man, how fucking unlucky you gotta be.
Yeah, what kind of a whole shot is that? And I want to know, like,
I
was
wonder-
he held on it and someone walked in the room, like, holy shit.
I want to know if the pilot got back to base and like, I actually killed someone.
You scared him.
It's like, drinks for this guy tonight. He fucking aced the hole in one.
10 picks.
You killed this Uber driver. Good job. Like,
The thing that stood out in the book, and I forget what the circumstances were, but it was, I think it was in the 70s, like the gloves really came off after because remember they went to that one like farming community in Israel, the PLO guys, and they just slaughtered like every man, woman, and child there.
Yeah.
And they found out who organized it, and they sent them into, was it Syria or wherever these guys were hiding out that did the massacre, but they kind of bribed the local officials. And so like the guys that they killed that staged the massacre, they died of natural causes. Like it would be natural if you died because somebody stuffed a pillow down your throat, which is how these guys died.
Yeah, it was like death, cause of death, swallowed pillow.
Took a pillow down this guy's throat, and they just bribed off the local guys, and so they just fried it up. I mean, not that those guys didn't deserve to die that way, but still, it's like I'd like to see a death certificate.
natural causes, lead poisoning.
Yeah.
And
Death by can't breathe because a pillow was stuffed down your throat with a broom handle.
he decapitated himself in his sleep.
Just couldn't take it anymore. Like killed that one guy with poison in his toothpaste.
Yeah, and he died horribly. But they got a couple people that way because remember the second guy they said he just died screaming, and it scared the shit out of all the other people. It's like,
Jeez.
well, I like the stuff that they used on the guy. They were using the sonic injector, and it was a form of fentanyl that they could never figure out how to commercialize because it would kill all your pain. It would make you fall into sleep, and then it would make your breathing stop. And I think it was called fentanyl or something. They had some name for it. But the Israelis were like, this is a great assassination tool because it doesn't kill the guy immediately. It's just when he falls asleep, it's breathing.
Because they sprayed it on that guy in the street, and he knew what was happening. I remember they had to give him the cure because it was in Jordan. The king of Jordan called the Israeli prime minister and said, "Yeah, this guy better not die. This isn't gonna fucking go well." Because the Jordanians are always worried their own people are gonna overthrow them. So. But yeah, Rise and Kill First. Great book.
Yeah, I'll check that out.
It's good light reading.
All right, time on to Existence.
I think we're gonna have to kick the can.
yeah. We'll go bring Existence till
Yeah,
next.
you guys can talk about it next week when I'm not here.
Okay.
All right. This week the American Food Factory podcast. Nathan.
Scotland.
Andrew?
Goodbye, America.